Reporting on what the mainstream media won't, you're listening to the Hagman and Hagman Report on the Global Star Radio Network.
Gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution is not going to get that man today. No, because I'm going to get him.
This is the Hagman and Hagman Report. Welcome, folks, to this edition of the Hagman and Hagman Report. We're coming to you live from our radio and television studios, truly, right here in Northwest Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So, Angelina Jolie gets questioned by the FBI over the child abuse charges. Brad Pitt, regarding Brad Pitt, for 4 hours. Let me get this straight. The FBI interviews Angelina Jolie for 4 hours over child abuse charges related to Brad Pitt. Now, contrast that with the FBI interviewing Hillary Diane Rodham, the Yak Clinton. The Yak is back. It's just because of my mood. For 3.5 hours. I'm starting to sound like Hillary, right? What's up? What's up with that? That's what I want to know. What's up? And I'm, look, I have sat in on FBI interviews before, which
being interrogated?
Not quite. No.
Okay.
No. But in fact, one huge theft and conspiracy theft case that I worked. I watched this one guy being interviewed. I think the interview started like at 9:30 in the morning and went through 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. So however many hours that is, but time flies. Believe me, time goes quickly when you're in one of those rooms. But so just
not
by contrast,
question.
Well, yeah, I suppose it's relative, right? So just so I have this right, Angelina Jolie interviewed by the FBI 4 hours. Hillary Clinton. 30 years of criminality, 3.5 hours. Yeah, okay, folks. So proud to be broadcast by Global Star Radio Network. It's the place to be. You can watch us live and by archive as well on our YouTube channel. Just go to hagmanandhagman.com. Choose your broadcasting or listening venue, I should say, or hagmanreport.com, and there you'll find news, information, and analysis. By the way, I wrote, and Joe and I are going to be talking about this. I wrote my latest, which should be offensive to a lot of people. I do suspect, just judging by the responses I'm getting right now, people are hating on me. People are hating on me for writing what I wrote. How dare they? Joe and I are going to talk about this because I said, well, did you read it? Yeah. Do you agree with it? Some of it. I said, well, you tell me what parts you don't agree with. And he started telling me, I said, no, wait, because we're going to talk this out over the show or during the show. Steve Quayle is going to be joining us at 8, or in hour number 2, I should say, along with Ross Powell in hour 2, talking about the economy, world economy. And then in hour 3, it's going to be Steve Quayle alone and unplugged. I talked to Steve for a couple of hours today, and we had we had a great conversation. Trust me when I tell you, you're going to want to stick around for this show tonight. It may be the last time he comes on the show before the presidential election. You don't want to hear it? Turn us off. That's all I got to say. Sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry. So that's the schedule for tonight's show. Folks, go to hagmanreport.com, and you can share this. I also posted it to Facebook And I think some people are like, saying, I don't like this guy anymore. In Twitter, I think, whatever, it's up there. So here's the deal. Just very quickly, we'll spend a little bit of time on this, and just very quickly, and then we'll go back to hitting what the other important aspects of things. But if I can find it on my own web, or if I can get to my own website here, you put it up for me. Oh, okay. What is on the screen? No, I can't see the screen. That's all right. Okay. So, all right. Well, hang on a minute here. Why can't I even see my own website? All right, there we go. So, Joe and folks, here's my position. Wait a minute. I lost my website again. No, hold on, folks. I'll get to this. I'll get my act together.
Yesterday, our website didn't go down, but was it had something happen to it where when you would go to Hagmann Report, if you had it bookmarked or if you typed it in on the URL bar, it took you to a Google search page.
Right. That was intentional by the ISP who said, guess what? I mean,
yeah,
we're getting 1,000 hits a second.
After I woke up and opened my computer and was looking at some things, I went to see if the website was back up, and I got the Google page again. And I immediately called my dad and said, hey, what's going on? And I had to clear my browsing history and cache, and the website came back up for me. So if people are still having problems,
yeah, just dump your cookies or
clear out your cookies and
chunks,
try
right?
again.
Whatever.
And then
you know what I mean.
I had a few computer issues, and my email hasn't been working the last few days. I couldn't even get Outlook to open. I spent 45 minutes on the phone with Microsoft support today, and it finally was fixed. Don't know why it didn't work or what the reason was that it wouldn't open. That it kept giving me an incompatible program error message. But thankfully, it's working again, and the website's up again. And again, if you need to, and you keep getting the Google page, clear your cookies, and that should bring
clear your history, browsing history, and that'll fix it. All right. For some reason, I'm having some issues here, but okay. So here's what I wrote earlier today after talking with Steve. Will you choose life or death in this election? Our decision will define our Christianity and decide our fate. Decide our fate. I'm okay with it. I'm good. Thank you, Barry. Now, it's and I write this, and I'll just skim it very quickly. It's just my intent to be very simple, to be blunt, because in my view, the truth is always simple. Additionally, being blunt leaves no room for misunderstandings, although it certainly galvanizes people when choosing sides on a particular issue. And folks, what I've seen is this election has galvanized, has been the reason behind Christians breaking fellowship with one another, with families being really torn apart ideologically. So now I've talked to people who have had family members saying, "Don't call me anymore." Seriously, over a presidential election.
Yeah,
and I wrote this, and here are my words. I am fed up with self-professing conservatives and even more fed up with self-described Christians, and especially Christian leaders, folks, who refuse to cast their vote for Trump. Notice I didn't say who are voting for Hillary, just who refuse by default or deliberate intent to vote for Trump because of their Christian beliefs. At least in my view, that's the public reason they use. But in my view as well, it is merely a pretext to excuse their failures to man up, stand up, and rise up when given the chance. You see, Christian leaders, conservatives, have been sellouts, have been wimps, have been spineless snowflakes for too long. That's my statement. We have been too tolerant for too long. We don't have a problem with intolerance in this country. We've got a problem with tolerance. And the minute that men begin acting like men, you've got the metrosexual snowflake, spineless jellyfish wimps out there seeking their safe spot, safe space. Well, to the Christians who say, I can't, it's a crisis. I cannot consciously vote for Trump. To the Christians out there listening to me, it is my personal opinion that you are nothing more than sanctimonious fools. That's right. You heard me right. Because what's the alternative? You going to write me in? Good luck with that. You're going to write Eric the Tech in? You're going to write Joe in? You're going to write yourself in? Are you going to write, wait a second, are you going to vote third party, fourth party, libertarian? What are you going to do? See, the system is where it's at because of people like this. 20 million evangelicals did not vote the last election, and even more previous elections, because they were following their conscience. How in the hell do you think we got to where we're at? It's because of, again, you sanctimonious fools. That's my view, my words, and you don't have to, I'm not talking to our audience, because our core audience here. No, I'm not. No. And if you disagree with me, please disagree with me. That's fine. I just want everyone to be clear on where I stand. And I think that I think the intellectual aspect of this, I think it's important for Christians to come together. I really do. And conservatives to come together, and Christian conservatives to come together and make a stand right now. Because if we don't make a stand right now, then frankly, we're never going to stand for anything together. And by the time we make that decision, it's going to be gone. Our country is going to be gone. The idea, it's already gone. America's not America anymore. That's all, and we'll talk about that with Steve Quayle an hour and when he comes on, but that's my personal feeling. It's unfortunate, Joe, I've seen Christians break fellowship. I've seen conservatives just abandon everything. I can't possibly vote for Trump. Well, then you know what? You're going to get what you get. And what you're going to get is a baby-killing, communist sympathizing, communist Muslim facilitating misogynist in the White House. And I'm talking about Hillary, Diane Rodham, the witch Clinton, occultist. That's what you're going to get. You do that, that's what you're going to get. So don't complain and moan when you get what you get. And that concludes my opening statement.
There's an interesting article, two interesting articles, both talking about the same thing. One from a journalist perspective, how Clinton campaign's anti-Catholic agenda has sparked pushback from local church leaders, and there are a number of different sides to the story, or not sides, but viewpoints. And the story from the New American talks about how George Soros is the single most influential donor to dissident and anti-Catholic organizations, and now learned from the WikiLeaks what has been long suspected. John Podesta has been the most influential point man running the anti-Catholic offense for Soros. Together they have sought to manipulate public opinion against the Catholic Church. Clinton provided evidence of her belief when she gave a speech to women at the World Summit in New York City in April 2015, saying far too many women are still denied critical access to reproductive health care and safe childbirth. What she's talking about is abortion. And the laws we've passed don't count for much if they're not enforced. Rights have to exist in practice, not just on paper. Laws have to be backed up with resources and political will, and deep-seated cultural codes, religious beliefs, and structural biases have to be changed. And here, obviously, she's talking about with the cultural codes and religious beliefs, meaning we have to adapt to her way, her evil way of of thinking and, turn that into law and change the foundation of our Christian belief system to adapt to the way she wants to do things. Well, Donald Trump came and spoke out recently about the way Hillary Clinton has treated Catholics and evangelicals, saying that she has treated them so poorly that they shouldn't even vote for or even consider voting for. She's been terrible, Trump says, in what she said and her thoughts towards Catholics and evangelicals. This was with an interview with Catholic Eternal World Television today. Frankly,
and folks, you've seen that. You're familiar with that channel, EWT.
And Trump continues, frankly, if any Catholic votes for Hillary Clinton, I would say if I were a Catholic, I would not be talking to them anymore. Trump told the World Over host Raimondo Ayaro she was mocking evangelicals also.
And there you have it, the mocking, and that's important.
And then
too,
there's WikiLeaks emails between Clinton's staff and herself that show these different biases that she has. We talked about emails yesterday, and I posted this on the website today about how the Clinton administration and the State Department wanted to make sure that they wanted to put Asians and Arabs in top positions of power from second tier chief of staff positions and other important positions in the top federal levels, but they wanted to make sure the Arabs that they put in were not Christian, and they pointed out how many Lebanese Arabs are Christian, and they wanted to stay away from that, making sure that they were Muslim instead. And there have been other emails that have been released that they do mock Christian beliefs and Catholic and Christian beliefs. And if you go to The Hill, you can find Trump, his comments in the article that do take out and show some of the emails and some of the quotes. And they're pretty bad. I mean, they show a hostility towards religious institutions, particularly Catholic and Christian religion. Kellyanne Conway, Trump's campaign spokesman, said, "We call on Hillary Clinton to apologize and to fire the staff who have engaged in this vicious anti-Catholic bigotry." Dozens of religious leaders have signed a statement calling the comments demeaning and troubling. Podesta's refusal to rise to any objection makes him equally party to this bigotry, the writer added. And that's right on the money.
Enough said. Look, this is prep. This really is prep for what's coming. It's the pro-Muslim, and folks, remember. Well, if you've studied history, remember the post-war era here, post-World War II era in the United States. Remember what McCarthy pointed out, how the infiltration through the Department of State, the State Department at the time of the communists, the red infiltration. Many people have made fun of that, have even today they use McCarthyism. They use McCarthy as a verb, or I'm sorry, as an adjective. McCarthyism and ism, and many movies and many people had made fun of and mocked the McCarthy hearings, which are separate from the House Un-American Activities Committee meetings. But apply those standards, the communist infiltration of the post-war America apply those same standards to the Muslims infiltrating this particular administration or regime. It's the same template. It's the same level of infiltration. Believe me, it happened in post-war U.S., post-war America, post-World War II America, and it's happening today, post 9/11.
And we're looking infiltration at Hillary Clinton with her comments about, and her staff, the way that they talk about evangelicals, abortion, the anti-Catholic stuff, the anti-religious stuff, the religious bashing. This is a dictator. If she becomes the president, she would become basically, and this author lays it out great. They say she believes in using the power of government to force societal change. Since society is comprised of people, she is also saying that the government can and must be used to change people's belief systems by force or by threat of force. Since she's running for president of the United States, she presumably envisions herself as just the person to lead the revolutionary effort.
Change their belief systems
and they're
by force.
Yeah.
Or threat of force, but change their belief systems.
Vice presidential candidate Tim Kaine a few weeks back made a statement that the Catholic Church would have to adapt the law of America's homosexual marriage law, adapt to it, or be faced with the penalty of the IRS or forced out of the country. He even said that, and that didn't get a lot of traction back when he first made those remarks, and I've seen a few things about it recently.
Right.
But this just shows you the mindset of Hillary Clinton, Tim Kaine, and as we just said, by threat of force, changing societal's belief, changing the whole structure, the foundation of the Christian faith by saying you either are going to change your policies to align with our agenda or you're not going to be a part of this country anymore. Which is just completely totalitarian in nature and the exact opposite of anything that we look at in this country as freedom or associated with liberty. This is just, political force by will, and that's what it is. Switching gears here, I want to go to...
Hang on, I want to point out this real quick.
Okay.
Although Kaine, Tim Kaine, and I find his last name interesting. Just think about that, Kaine. Cain and Abel reference.
Well, then you look at the two, Clinton, Kaine, and then Trump, Pence, with the Trumpets kind of.
Yeah.
People have pointed that out, and it does give it a more spiritual level of understanding.
Whatever, right? But Kaine canceled a rally in Florida. Of course, his last rally. Yeah, his last rally got like 50 people. But folks, Hillary Clinton had a two-person meeting with the head of elections in Broward County in Florida.
We talked about this yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to reinforce this. What is she doing? What is she doing? No, I don't think we did talk about this yesterday.
Yeah, I mentioned it. I got the story here. It was at the very beginning of the show.
I thought the meeting was today.
No, it
was today.
It was 2 days ago.
No, we're still talking about two different things here.
No. The
Broward
lady,
County?
Broward County, yes.
That's right. Okay, it's my mistake. Sorry. All right.
And I think InfoWars pointed this out, and there was another publication that pointed this out, and I don't know where the article went, but she met with the head of the Elections Commission in Broward County.
Which is Brenda Snipes. That's right. Yeah, and we did boy, everything runs together.
Yeah, and some are calling that meeting unethical. Others are saying it's illegal.
It's arguably illegal as well. But I'm sure they were just talking about grandchildren and golf, reminiscent of the. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But Floridians, make your complaints to the secretary or the Inspector General's office or the Secretary of State of Florida. I would really do that if you live in Florida and listening to this, because there's no reason for any candidate at all should be meeting personally with the head of the elections in any county for any reason, and especially just a one-on-one meeting. No, that's not.
That's a big no-no.
Oh, no, that's right.
But, the mainstream media is not going to cover it, and people aren't going to ask questions because, that's what they do. They lie, they cheat, they cover up, and they have the whole power of the government and media industries to hide their crimes and to cover up their lies and to twist and manipulate the truth and, basically change the perception of what is right and what is wrong. We only have a few minutes before the break.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into the potential of Hillary Clinton being using a green screen during rallies in Coconut Creek, Florida. So we'll do that after the break.
Yeah, folks, think about that and body doubles. What do you think about this?
This is something we've been looking at behind the scenes for the last few weeks. There's been at least 3 instances that I've seen that people are calling it out as just like a phony setup where she's talking, there's a green screen behind her, and then superimposed behind her is a crowd, but the crowd's not really there.
I don't know.
And if you watch these videos, especially the last one, the speech she gave in Coconut Creek, Florida on 10/25,
right,
there is an obvious visual difference between her and the people around her. Her color, the color of her clothes, the shadows. You know how there's people who are experts in Photoshop and
man, I've learned so much about chroma keys. There's Eric the Tech, and you can follow him at Real Tech Eric. Sorry, on Twitter. I don't know why. Eric. I don't know why I've got this block. Real Tech Eric on Twitter. Follow him. He's got some good stuff. But he pointed this out. But blonde hair is really hard to work with, I guess, on a green screen. But what do you think about the potential for CGI effects or whatever?
Well, I think that they are much further along than
body doubles.
The CGI effects are much further along than we understand. You know, we see from the different terrorist attacks and potential false flag terror attacks, people pointing out different, things that are inconsistent. From the Boston bombings, Doc Marquis he has a whole part of his website.
He called, by the way.
Yeah, I heard that earlier.
Okay.
That he dedicates to showing the inconsistencies of, from medical traumas to these different things. But how much manipulation? I mean, are we at the point where whole news stories can be invented on a computer, shown to you as that they were real, and we believe them without any questions asked because, we don't know any different. Just like a movie, people might think it's a movie if they didn't know that people had the ability to make things like that. We're going to be right back with our segment 2 right after this. Afterwards, Steve Quayle and Ross Powell will be joining us. Steve Quayle for the rest of the show. Stay with us.
You may never look at your city, town, or its people the same way ever again. Stained by Blood, a murder investigation based upon a true story by private investigator Douglas J. Hagman. Using the character Mark Stiles, Hagman takes you on a journey behind the scenes where the homicide becomes secondary to an underworld of satanic ritual abuse, child abduction, and even mind-controlled experimentation. A world dismissed as conspiracy by those who want to keep its secrets hidden, exposing the dangers, denials, and deceptions. For 5 years, a brutal killer remained on the loose, free to kill again. As Mark struggles to navigate the maze of bizarre twists and untangle a web of deeply hidden secrets kept by some of the most powerful and influential people in his community and beyond. Stained by Blood. Order your copy of this engaging novel today at HagmanandHagman.com and click on the link. Stained by Blood.
Everybody needs a GMAG power cell. So MAG needs to give air fuel cell. It's very high energy density and it makes power from salt water, regular old ordinary table salt. Add a little bit of water, it makes electricity like this one is. No wires, no cords, no cables. You don't need sun, you don't need wind. All you need is a little bit of salt and a little bit of water, and it makes power anytime, anywhere, in any weather, day or night. It lasts on the shelf indefinitely. When you need it, take it off the shelf, add water, it makes power. It doesn't matter whether it's been there 5 months to make power when you need power. You don't need sun, you don't need wind. All you need is a little salt and a little bit of water. It makes power anytime, anywhere, in any weather, day or night.
Check out Greennovative.com. That's Greennovative at Greennovative.com. Greennovative. That's Greennovative.com.
All you need is a little bit of salt and a little bit of water, and it makes power anytime, anywhere, in any weather, day or night.
Reporting on what the mainstream media won't, you're listening to the Hagman and Hagman Report on the Global Star Radio Network.
Yeah, 911. I'd like to report I was victimized by some haters. Hello, 911. I'm a journalist. I'm actually a snowflake posing as a journalist. And I'd like to file a report that I've been victimized at the hand of some Trump supporters. They chanted mean things at me, like CNN sucks. and they've been calling us names. Me and my crew, they've been calling us prostitutes. There's got to be a law against that. Can you send a car over here right away, please? Hello? Is this thing on? Hello?
I want to jump in with some
Green Innovative. Wait, Green Innovative. Breaking news, Green Innovative. Folks, go to Green Innovative. It's a small company in Florida, created the GMAG. Unless, is there an earthquake? Is there a fire?
No.
Did I hurt your feelings?
Mm-mm. This has to do with the verdict from the Bundy brothers and 5 others from the Mauer Wildlife Refuge.
Okay,
the verdict was given.
We'll talk about Green Innovative later. Folks, just go to Green Innovative. Go to HagmanReport.com. Click on the link to Green Innovative. Folks, the GMAG battery recharger, they're selling out, and you need to get it as soon as possible. Okay, you don't need sun, you don't need wind, or a hand crank with these battery chargers, and the charges your cell phone. All you need is a little bit of ordinary table salt, 2 tablespoons or teaspoons, and a little water, and bang, there you go. You can charge up to 6 AA, AAA batteries off the grid anytime, any weather, day or night. The Super GMAG charger has an indefinite shelf life. Just all you need to do is replace the magnesium power pucks after about 20 or so uses. No moving parts. Strong. It's one of the greatest little tools. 8 ounces it weighs. It's one of the greatest little tools I've ever seen. Absolutely required for your bug out bag and for your preps. That's Green Innovative. Go to HagmanReport.com. Click on Green Innovative or search. Very simply, just search for Green Innovative or the GMAG battery recharger. You'll know it when you see it. Don't accept any imitations. I think there might be some out there. Alan Riggs has got the patent on it. It's great stuff. So, okay, now we can go with the breaking news. There's a fire in the studio, right?
No, the
Bundy Ranch, that's right.
Ammon Bundy and his brother Ryan Bundy, as well as 5 other people involved in the anti-federal government occupation of the Mauer National Wildlife Refuge, have been found not guilty of conspiring to impede federal workers from doing their jobs, including Ammon and Ryan Bundy. A jury found all 7 remaining occupiers not guilty of all charges, except for one charge that is yet to be disclosed. Ryan and Ammon Bundy were leaders of the 6-week standoff in Oregon, along with several other members, also found not guilty of possessing firearms in a federal facility.
Yeah.
One thing that's interesting from the verdict, supporters claiming that Ammon Bundy's attorney, Marcus Mumford, was tased in court by federal marshals. KATU reported that Mumford was in U.S. Marshal custody after being allegedly tackled for yelling that Bundy was free to go following the announcement of the verdict.
Wait a second. He was tackled?
They say tased and tackled.
Wow.
So apparently the Bundys and are in Marshal custody, and I'm not sure when their release will be, but that's a big victory for the folks out in Oregon and the Bundy family.
Very interesting. And this was in federal court, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Facing federal charges, federal court. Very interesting. I wonder how the media is going to respond to that.
remember these guys were
context.
terrorists, and
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because we weren't at the trial. We didn't see any trial footage. You've got to be at the trial really to understand, in my view, to really get to understand or to be able to talk with any degree of authority on issues like this. I really would have liked to have seen that trial.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
And seen what evidence was introduced. Was this kind of a runaway jury, or was this a jury nullification?
I would bet it was a jury nullification type situation,
folks. And see this. These are signs, in my view. These are signs and symptoms. Things like this, in the face of rebellion, or in the face of oppression. I don't care for Michael Moore as a person or as anything. I don't. Michael Moore, the producer. Oh, wait a second. No, Joe's telling. Don't tell me off screen.
Well, I didn't want you to go on.
No. Michael Moore, when he was talking about
that video, was cut from his anti-Trump.
Interviews. So I got played on that.
From what I understand, that was him. He was not endorsing Trump.
He wasn't endorsing Trump. He was saying a vote for Trump is a big FU to the system.
From what I understand, there was a video released that appeared to show an interview of Michael Moore supporting Trump.
No. This is when he was sitting on a stage.
Did he have a San Francisco hat on?
I think so. That was.
I'll have to double check. I believe
and this,
it was,
folks, is why it's important to vet your news before airtime. Now,
because I was looking at that yesterday, and I came across some information that said it was, people were commenting and saying, so what, it was cut together. The person did it, so well. And
actually, I agreed with the guy. I was going to say,
that's just it. Yeah, what he really said in the context that he said it wouldn't.
Okay.
You wouldn't agree.
We'll have to find the actual original, and that kind of demonstrates too.
Talked about it.
I'm glad you called me out on that, because that demonstrates. You go through, look at the fast and furious nature of the news, the headlines, and now the one thing that we won't get played on, or I certainly won't get played on, just still putting together all the Podesta emails and going through. I'm about finished with the 17th, number 17 email dump with all of the attachments in connecting the dots on this. But it's interesting to point this out, where we're getting inundated with the headlines of the news. You're seeing things like, and before the break, you were talking. We need to talk about the green screen effect.
Okay,
and we need to talk about body doubles and such. And I think it's important intellectually to address this. Go
on. Audio purportedly capturing director Michael Moore endorsing Donald Trump was taken out of context for Moore's latest film.
This is a wrong thing. No,
but when he did say a Trump victory would be the biggest FU.
That's what I'm referring to. He did say that.
Ever recorded in human history. But I don't know if even that was cut together.
I don't care if he said that statement.
He also said, Michael Moore to Trump voters, "You're legally terrorists," in Rolling Stone's interview.
That's all right.
So
Eric the Tech, he's a special breed. I don't know, you folks. I don't know if you. Indeed. All right, folks. What do you think about the green screening effects? What do you think about the appearance of? Hang on. Apparently, there's a coup. There's been a coup. Are we off of camera? Oh. See, Jackie's bringing Joe his supper. Apparently.
I got a little
Jackie's
treat.
First day. That's right. Jackie's first day is tomorrow on the Hagman and Hagman Report, folks. Her first day. Studio audience, let's have a round of applause for my daughter Jackie. All 300. Yeah.
That was Jackie clapping for herself.
Yeah, I just anyway. No, but really,
the green screen thing.
Let's talk about this. Let's address this.
According to Now the End Begins, they have a Jeffrey Grider wrote an article. Crooked Hillary holds phony rally with pretend background people via green screen, and they have the video there. It's if you just go to nowtheendbegins.com, and I think it's the third article. Crooked Hillary campaign used a green screen at today's low.
Well, Eric, can you put that back up again?
Okay. And Eric's got it up on YouTube, and it says, when you first watch this video of Crooked Hillary's speech from yesterday in Florida, you will see some amazing things. First, you will see a background section that is in 2D and not 3D, like a projected image on a wall would look. Secondly, when you see anyone steps in front of the background, there appears a darkened halo around them. Why would that be? Well, that happens to be called green screen technology, and in this case, poorly done green screen. Hillary Clinton's Coconut Creek, Florida speech apparently was using a green screen. They say start watching the video at the 1 hour and 3 minute mark to see where Hillary starts speaking. They go on to list other clues. One of the things I noticed is that the people who are behind her don't seem to be looking at her. They're looking around. Some of them are looking on the side a lot of the times. And another thing, this came out in a previous Hillary speech when the camera from behind is looking at Hillary at the podium. There's people holding their phones and cameras up. When you look in what is in the cameras and in the phones, you don't see Hillary Clinton. In fact, you don't even see the same background.
All right. For those watching us live on YouTube, the video is, or the screen capture is up on, and we'll leave it up for a while. If you don't know what we're talking about, you can just search this on YouTube.
Yeah. So, and then there was an Eric in the article. There's a tweet from an Eric Hassert. Clinton supporters began entering Broward College for Hillary Clinton early voting rally in Coconut Creek. Well, there's like 10, 15 people there. And there's it looks like they were set to hold maybe 50 people, 100 people, in total. And if you look at the video of the speech, it looks like there's hundreds of people there. Well, they didn't even have the setup for that many people in the first place. So I do believe that there is trickery going on with Hillary Clinton and the cameras and, green screens. I've seen, still pictures from alleged rallies where Hillary Clinton's there, and there's a crowd that's been superimposed around her, because there's never been a crowd that big that has seen Hillary Clinton.
Just a couple of things, and folks, you can look at this as if you're driving, or if you're listening to this via Global Star or BTR. Obviously, you can't see this. You can go back to our YouTube channel and see this picture. But here, a couple of thoughts. I saw, who is it from the Young Turks? What's his name? Cenk Uygur or whatever. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. From from the Young Turks. Okay, mocking anyone questioning things like body doubles, which the body doubles are closely related to what we're talking about right now. That's the CGI effect of.
In the last 100 years, many of the world leaders did have body doubles.
Correct.
It's been on the record.
But I think, and look, I had once spoken to somebody pretty high up in the intelligence world. This is not my source within DHS, but actually closer to the White House. And he said, look, we plan for the deaths of presidents, of dignitaries, so they hold mock funerals. And yes, there are decoys that are used, and I'm not talking about not used nefariously, but are used in certain cases, and especially in diplomatic overseas travels. And of course, he didn't go into detail. So why is it so, and I'm just throwing this out there, why would it be so out of the realm of possibilities here, where we're being punked in both instances by Hillary Clinton's, by the press, in cases like the Coconut Creek, Florida situation, or even on 9/11 when she fell, came out of the apartment building, in Chelsea's apartment, and looked like a totally different person. And then,
like 50 pounds lighter.
Right.
Almost.
So it's not just any one thing. What about her cough? Remember, for a while, she couldn't speak, string together like 5 words without coughing. And that's suddenly cleared up.
Mm-hmm.
All of these little things.
Ever since her collapse on September 11th.
It's not one thing, it's everything.
Yeah. And there was even a video today of her getting out of a van to go onto a plane, where the van parked like 2 feet away from this plane, the stairs on the plane, and you watch the video and you hear the audio. Well, can't you get any closer? Can't you get any closer? From, I believe, one of her supporters or aides. And she starts to walk up the stairs and she stumbles a little bit. And on Drudge, the headline was, Hillary stumbles and mumbles. And you see her mouth moving. And I watched that, and it looks like she's saying, help me. As she gets towards the top of the plane, somebody comes out and grabs her umbrella and grabs her hand. And then there was a separate video of her walking on a street up a curb where she needed help to get up this curb, all 8 inches or however big a curb is. Which you have to ask the question. There have been so many things that we have seen from her indicating her health problems, not to mention the blood clot, the fall that she had, the concussion, and the continuation of those problems back from 2012, 2013. And it was a big deal 2 months ago, her health. And it seems like since she had her collapse, that's went away. And I don't know why that is, because it still is a major issue. She seems to only have bouts of energy that last, for an hour, 2 hours, once or twice a week. She can't walk up the stairs hardly without help. She can't stand, without being propped up.
Remember pillows and pickles? And the other aspect of this is her responding to allegations of her health, as well as, for example, lumping her health allegations or whatever those might be in with the emails and saying that it's all or I don't have time for these conspiracy theories.
Then she collapses.
So we in the alternative, or I should say new media, the what I would term the true media, are being mocked and ridiculed when we just merely ask questions. What's going on here? We just want the truth. That's all. Just give us the truth.
It's like September 11th. Anybody who had a question that was outside of the government's narrative of events was a truther, and which was somehow a bad thing, and a conspiracy theorist for merely asking the question.
Yeah, we are allowed to ask questions. In fact, questions are encouraged, I believe.
Yeah.
In a free society, it is the sunlight that maintains our freedom. But we are being lied to. I don't know what's going on with the CGI effects. Could it be something innocuous? It could be. Could it be? I mean, was she at that event? I believe she was in Florida, Coconut Creek. I believe she was there,
or at least if the other people were there or not.
I believe somebody that. I believe that if not her herself, then somebody portraying her was there, and that there were people there. I just don't know if what we're seeing on video is an actual portrayal of what really took place. I guess that's what I'm saying. And if not, why not? Why? And if we are being lied to at that level, then my goodness, how far gone are we? I'm trying to make sense here, and I'm trying to be rational and reasonable.
No, we're far
gone.
We're far gone. I think it's worse than what we even understand. And I think that's one of the things, when we think of World War III, the potential for, the next international conflict that could be devastating. We might not know what's real and what's not real. They could, we'll say, have the internet cut off, yet keep the 3 major news stations on TV, and they could give us images that they want us to see, that they've, already prepared in a Hollywood. Many people will argue about the moon landing, and they'll show takes from, practice runs that were done in Hollywood studios that involve studio lights falling down.
But
so these things aren't new tricks.
I suspect that maybe they did have a studio, and again, not for any nefarious reason, but perhaps perhaps it was for other reasons, not nefarious reasons. I don't know. I mean, does the existence of a studio that would portray a moon landing being managed by the government, does that automatically suggest, or is that suggestive that a moon landing didn't happen? I don't think so. We need
When
more
they lie
evidence.
about it, though, that makes it more suspicious.
But then
Why
again,
not just tell the truth if it's not that big of a deal and they're
perhaps
not
national
anything?
security. I can see where if something went terribly, horribly wrong, that being used maybe to I don't know. I'd have to think that through, but just the mere existence of having a studio like that to me is not suggestive that it didn't happen. It's suggestive of government manipulation or the possibility of government manipulation, but it's not suggestive or definitive proof that manipulation happened. That's all I'm saying. But with this Chroma
How much
stuff,
are they paying you?
yeah, there it is. Next I'll be getting. I'll be getting emails. Yeah, you're a shell for that. No, I just want to be reasonable about all of this. That's all. The evidence. On the other hand, I find it very interesting when people say, and I've been seeing this a lot lately, no pictures, no story. Do you agree with that, ladies and gentlemen? If you're involved in some certain event, no pictures, no story, do you agree with that?
It depends.
Or if there are no pictures, it didn't never happen. Because here's my thinking. All right, if I'm
believe none of what you hear and half of what you see.
No, I agree with that. You're always, however, by automatically saying that if you don't have pictures, it never happened. Well, if you're driving, for example, I don't carry a cell phone. I don't carry a cell phone. I do not carry a. Did you hear that? Why? Because I don't like them. And then when I'm driving, I don't want to be talking to anyone. I want to be tracked. That's right, Eric. At Real Tech Eric on Twitter. Yeah, I don't want to be tracked. But how often do you have a camera? If you don't have a cell phone, if you see a holdup in your driving, we'll say, you're going to stop and take video of it with a cell phone camera if you don't have a camera. So I mean, the whole idea is, if you are a witness of something but you don't have video or pictures to it, then it didn't happen. That mindset, to me, I don't agree with that at all. Do you, folks? That's all I'm asking. Although cameras are ubiquitous now with the cell phones, I agree that it's more possible than ever before to be able to film or capture on film or on still images events. However, I don't think it's a deal breaker at all.
Switching gears here again before the top of the hour break, and we are joined by Steve Quayle from stevequayle.com and Ross Powell from survival401k.com. Russian President Vladimir Putin made a statement today about the White House's constant throwing of his name in Russia in interjecting them with the trying to mess with the U.S. elections. Putin claims Russia is meddling in U.S. elections as hysteria, and he slammed the rhetoric as hysteria today, claiming that Russia had tried to interfere in the upcoming U.S. elections by hacking U.S. political institutions, including the Democrats behind frontrunner Hillary Clinton. Russia has been accused of favoring Donald Trump, the Republican candidate, who has praised Putin and called for better relations with Moscow over the more hawkish Clinton. The number of mythical, dreamt-up problems includes the hysteria. I can't think of another word that has been broken out in the United States about the influence of Russia on the current elections for U.S. president, Putin said in a meeting. Does anyone seriously think Russia can somehow influence the choice of the U.S. people? Is the U.S. some kind of banana republic? The United States is a great power. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Putin said to laughter in the audience. Washington last week formally accused the Russian government of trying to interfere in the 2016 White House race by hacking U.S. political institutions, charges the Kremlin has repeatedly dismissed. He goes on to say that it's a lot easier to distract people's attention towards Russia, so-called hackers and spies, rather than deal with your own domestic problems. The Kremlin strongman, however, adopted a hard line against cyber attacks, saying these are unacceptable. But Russian authorities slammed Washington for the unprecedented threats after U.S. Vice President Joe Biden told NBC this month that Putin would receive a message in response to the alleged hacking in the form of a retaliatory cyber attack designed to harass and embarrass the Kremlin's leadership.
Yeah, it does seem like Russia is being obviously being painted as the bad guy. We're being set up, I believe, to doubt the legitimacy of our elections if Trump is victorious. And if Hillary's victorious, I don't know what outside of the antagonistic relationship, I don't know. Perhaps that'll usher in a hot war with Russia.
I've heard speculation that within 2 years of her, if she does win, within 2 years of her being elected, that Iran would be attacked, and that would be due to the lack of the Rothschild central bank control system. There's no central bank in Iraq or in Iran. I'm sorry,
right? And
they have had a target on their back for a long time now.
Well, in the latest emails, Podesta said that World War III for this generation is a done deal. Mm-hmm. The Podesta emails.
He also said he expected a terror from this spring, an email released this spring. He said Hillary Clinton should not have used the phrase, or we have ISIS right where we want them, and should not adopt the Clinton-Obama ISIS strategy, as it is a failure, he said. He also went on to say that he believes that there would be another terrorist attack that was ISIS-related between this spring and the election in November, and he said that would ruin her campaign if she took that stand that we have ISIS where we want them, and then to turn around and have an attack happen here in America before the election, which he said, he believes absolutely that there would be. And then we saw that there was those attacks at the mall in Minneapolis with the stabbing of the terrorists wearing a police uniform, the 2 dumpster bombs, one in Chelsea, one in New Jersey, the 3 bombs. The one went off, or 2 went off, and the one was
3.
A series of other ones,
or 3 bombs
were taken off. So,
folks, if you want clemency by Obama, he's pardoned more criminals than I think the last 10 presidents combined, 10 or 11. So get your application out there. Email your application to Obama. Never mind.
Hey, if Clinton wins, they'll be for sale.
And really, actually, Clinton bumped into Trump and said, "Pardon me," and Trump said, "I don't think so." We're going to be right back, folks.
In a thrilling series of novels, T.C. Joseph takes us into the lives of 3 families who struggle to maintain normal lives in a world where conspiracy theory and Bible prophecy collide. T.C. Joseph's viewpoint of alternative history and understanding of prophetic events will change your view of the world and the events on our horizon. Kirkus Review states, readers of end times fiction will be hard-pressed to find it done more intriguingly than this. Extremely readable and fast-paced. Blue Wink Reviews boldly states, fans of Tim LaHaye's Left Behind series and Tom Perrotta's The Leftovers will find this thought-provoking series absolutely riveting. Order your copies of T.C. Joseph's This Generation series from Amazon.com. Book 1, Precipice. Book 2, Pentecost. And Book 3, Penance.
Are you a Christian who has trouble sharing your faith? Do you wish that you could reach more people with the gospel? Well, now you can, and it's as easy as putting on a t-shirt. Hello, my name is JD. You might have heard me on with Doug and Joe. I'm their creative evangelist. One day it hit me. Why wear clothes that advertise for the big brands when you can be a living billboard for Jesus and preach the gospel simply by wearing the clothes that you wear and love? That's right, simply by putting on your favorite clothes. That is, if you bought them from BlessedToEver.com. BlessedToEver.com has cool t-shirts with clever designs that will impact everyone you see. Shirts like, Don't Worry, Be Holy, or #Eternal Lives Matter, or my favorite, Jesus Say Repent. So check out BlessedToEver.com, and if you like something, buy something. It will help support the video ministry and change lives one by one. Be a living billboard and check out BlessedToEver.com. That's blessedayever.com. Thanks, everybody, and have the blessed day ever.
Reporting on what the mainstream media won't, you're listening to the Hagman and Hagman Report on the Global Star Radio Network.
Hagman and Hagman Report. Folks, you can follow us on our social networking, Hagman Report on Facebook, Twitter as well at Hagman Report. Also my own personal Facebook, Douglas Hagman. I've got Twitter, my own personal Twitter at HagmanPI. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your belief and trust in us. As I had mentioned earlier, I had the opportunity and the pleasure to speak with Steve Quayle at length today. One of the most intelligent men I know is Steve Quayle. No, that's not false flattery. That's just a matter of fact. By the way, if you go to our show description, the article for the show at Hagman Report, there's a link to a very special offer for Steve's books. You can buy 6 of his books, 6 critical books, at a highly reduced price. It's a great deal, folks. It really is. Take advantage of it while they last, while he has the inventory. I know one person who's going to be getting that for Christmas. The 6 books. Eric, put your hand down. Put your arm down. Yeah. Eric, the tech's over there saying, oh, please. Anyway, Steve Quayle from stevequayle.com is in the house. He's with us, and he's going to be talking along with Ross Powell from Survival 401k. As you know, folks, we're 12 days away from the election, and a lot of things can change on a dime. Now, that said, we are in a lot of trouble in terms of our economy. We need to protect and prepare ourselves. Without any further ado, let's bring on Steve Quayle, stevequayle.com, and Ross Powell from Survival401k.com. Steve?
Hi, Doug, and hi, Ross. Well, tonight's going to be a treat. The first hour, Ross is going to lay out his information on where the economy is going financially and what people can do to protect themselves. Never, Doug, have I seen so much oblivion to what's getting ready to overcome the markets. I believe, and Russ will share immediately, that we are being set up. There are no true markets anymore, only manipulations. There are no there's no basis for true discovery on what something's really worth, because basically we've got Houdini economics going on, and everything is nothing but an illusion until you run out of money and can't buy anything like food or necessary items. So with no further ado, I'm going to bring on Ross. Hey, Ross.
Hey, thanks, Steve and Doug and Joe. Thank you for having me on.
Ross, the great economist, brother. Thank you for joining us. Sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
No, go. Let's take it, Ross. Share what's really on your heart, and just take your liberty until you need a break.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you again. So, to your point, the markets are so manipulated and so overbought, and the only people that are really buying stocks today are the central banks around the world. They have the Fed buying, and every time you see the market drop, you'll see them bounce back up. Bounce back up right around 1:30 Eastern time every day. They're starting to tank. But the thing that's really interesting is, in the last 2 weeks, we've been looking at the trading data, is that all three markets, the Dow, the NASDAQ, as well as the S&P 500, are trading in a very, very narrow range, which tells us that folks are just like waiting on the fence, finding out who's going to win. And so nobody really knows, because they see the internal polling inside the Hillary campaign and the Trump. You know that Trump is kicking her butt.
Hey, Ross, let me stop you right there before we get too far down the road here. We're getting reports that your audio is really muffled. So if you can do something, whether, I don't know, get closer to
that better?
Well, let's go with it, and we'll see. If not, I'll stop you again.
Yeah, Ross, speak closer to your mouthpiece. If you're using a cell, I think you're using a cell because something's wrong with your landline, but you're going to have to really watch the position of your mouth on the speaker, because I couldn't hear him at all, Doug. Thank you.
Sorry, I thought it was clear. I thought you were going to check. So, but can y'all hear me now better?
You're still...
not really.
Wow. Now we just got a truck horn in the background. I'm not sure what that was all about. Ross, you know what, brother? Yeah, you've got important information. So we don't want to miss any words.
If you want to call me back on my landline, we can try that again and see if that's working better.
Yeah, let's do that, Doug, because this is just not doable.
Yeah. All right, Ross, stand by. We'll reconnect on the landline. Do we have that, Joe? And if so, we don't have that. We don't have that number. Todd, our engineer, will take care of it. So, okay. So until we get Ross back, Steve, yeah, things are discombobulated. We talked earlier today. Fascinating stuff. Go ahead.
Right. Well, I think what everyone needs to basically understand, this is the believers' Dunkirk, okay? This is the battle of their life. This is the battle for their children, their grandchildren. And as we're talking right now, Doug, I just got thank you, Diana, sent me a breaking 9/11 with a plane carrying Vice President nominee Mike Pence skidded off the runway at LaGuardia, and the fire department is basically using a 2-alarm response. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me say this until we get Ross back. No power seized illegally ever surrenders illegally. There is not going to be a peaceful transition at this point outside of a miracle from God. What Doug and I were talking about this morning is I woke up with this on my heart today, and I want to share it right off the top, and as soon as Ross is ready, we'll bring him back. The only way to stand in the evil day is to basically have taken a stand in the first place. And I've never seen so many weasel wording or weasel-like statements coming out from quote-unquote the evangelical community. So are we back, Ross?
Yeah, Ross is back.
I'm here. Absolutely. Okay. Jump back to my landline. So it was
much better
today, so I wanted to. Okay, awesome. So what I was beginning to tell you, and I'm sorry you couldn't hear me, is that there's a lot of Fed manipulation going on on a daily and weekly basis, and you can see, and it's not just the Fed, it's also all the central banks around the world, minus the Chinese, obviously, and the Russians and a few others. But what's happening is you can see that if you watch Wall Street over the last 2 weeks, and been tracking a lot of data, they've been very much in a narrow range. Got a couple of down days and a couple of up days, but mostly in the last maybe 5-6 days, it's all been within a very narrow range, which tells us that everybody is waiting to see what happens. And so everybody's looking at the polls and reading the Gallup or the Rasmussen or the IDP or all these different polls. Everybody's got one, and they all stink, unfortunately, because all the polls are skewed, and it's coming out with WikiLeaks that oversampling's been done, and there's a lot of collusion within the mainstream media. And so everybody knows that. So inside Wall Street, people that have the big money know what's going on. And they know that Trump's way ahead with Hillary. They don't use the polls that publish it. They have their own internal polling. So does Trump. And one of my contacts saying that Trump is ahead by 17 points. Again, that's internal polling, and that's from a conservative think tank. Again, you have to take that with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, the polls are just one other thing, and many times it's a psyop. So you have to recognize the polls are used over history for many years to do this in order to drive the cattle in a certain direction. So if you want to drive a cattle, to certainly use a cattle prod or use other kind of horses and a whip to move them in certain directions, and that's what the mainstream media is doing, and they've proven they're inside of Hillary's camp. So the big thing about all this, and whether it's Trump or Hillary, and we're all hoping for it to be Trump simply because of the sheer corruption that's been shined the light on. And I think, Steve, you're talking about it in the third hour, is how the light's has been shined on the corruption, and in the last days that will happen. So I think you're going to have a great discussion about that. But I just want to tell people, and I want to get into some more economic, but also want to talk about I'm more concerned about war than I am about economics for this show because we're in a de facto state of war with the Russians. And Stephen, you and I talked about it last time.
Yeah, go on with that, Steve. If you want to address that first, and then Ross follow it up. War, more concern. Wow.
Well, here's the deal. You know, we're at a very, very strange place because I want to make something clear to everybody. It's obvious things are going in and being positioned right now for war. I've been getting emails, Doug, and different forms of contact information. And just like the story of the satellite that was shot out that was a weather satellite, that was not a weather satellite. That was a spy satellite. In the last couple of weeks, there's been at least 3 satellites that they're claiming were knocked out of orbit, and people are seeing the debris falling to Earth, okay? So we are at war right now. Remember this, ladies and gentlemen, it only takes a small spark, somebody at the wrong place at the wrong time pressing the wrong button. And right now, where there used to be, let's say this, somewhat mutual restraint, there is no longer that restraint, okay? Those of you in the Navy will understand a term, and the term is condition zebra. And that basically means that prep for battle, and it's kind of like when General Quarters is called. Now, what's happening is to fill everybody in. This is not political rhetoric. This is not how you say just bluster. Maybe on our part, but it's not. We're in NATO, and NATO's moving all types of weapons, including nukes, onto obviously NATO's eastern flank. In the meantime, the point has already been taken that Syria is what many people believe to be the flashpoint. But before I went on the air with you, Doug, and I'll turn it over to Ross, you know, people don't understand that nuclear war can break out in Pakistan and India as fast as it can break out in the Straits any place. Now, let me just read this because it's really important. Basically, India and Pakistan are now engaged in heavy fighting in Kashmir. Egypt just stopped a ballistic missile fired from Yemen. Russian ships have entered the Mediterranean Sea. The Chinese are on the move in the Pacific. Things are heating up in several places. Just a matter of time when until the clash occurs, but it will. Now, understand that Hawk just sent me an email, too. He was knocked off the air twice tonight. For the record, I can do nothing about my website. My website is being hacked and attacked as it had never has been before. A bunch of you are smart enough for saying to me, you know the time is close. I said, of course I know the time is close. I don't know, what the trigger event is, but I will tell you this. Everybody's cocked and locked, and their fingers are starting to sweat, and when they basically do the wrong move at the wrong time, everything changes. Now, will God intervene? And the question I'll deal with in the third hour is, should he intervene based on the spineless jellyfishianity, that's my word, that has been represented, and people voting for death who claim to be evangelical Christians. But let's not go there. Let's get back in, because that's a whole another hour, but let's get back into the economy, because remember this, the money, those who control the money of the world absolutely have total control of the world, apart from the power of the living God, his redemption, and the living God acting in time and history. So again, I want to say this, I'll turn it right over to you, Ross. The only way to stand an evil day, and we are at that point, is to have basically taken a stand in the first place. Doug, Ross, even when it comes to personal finances, I'm still getting, I won't have my IRA or 401k. What will I be retiring on? And I said, I pray it's not a diet of mushroom clouds, ignorance, and a slow death. And I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm not trying to be melodramatic. But, I told you this too, Doug. How much longer will any of us have a voice? That's known only to God. I know this. I got so frustrated. I won't, go into detail. But how long can I put up the news, the alerts, before it just goes basically down, And so I'm seeing that right now. So I think people had better recognize that what Ross is telling them And let me just say this, Ross, I'm going to give it right to you now. There is a way to get your IRA and 401k funds, to get your funds into your own hands, self-directed, and that means it gives you an opportunity out of life where when this thing goes down, it's going to go down so fast, and who knows what the devils that are will do in order to keep everybody away from their money. I've said it, I've reiterated it for over a decade, Doug. The day will come when there will be a cyber attack, and it'll be blamed on a third party, but it won't be the third party. It'll be the greedy bastard globalist, sorry for the word, but it fits, spawn of hell, basically seizing probably at least $16 trillion in IRAs, 401ks. In other words, everyone's future is on the table, and that's why you need to listen to Ross. So, Ross, let's go right into this, okay? Go into what you can do for people, and then, share some of the things that they can, like where they can put their money to, okay? Please do that. Explain it, because I got to tell you, I get emails, people say, well, what does he do? What's he talking about? So please explain it first, okay? What does Survival 401k do for people?
Oh, absolutely, and thank you, Steve, for that introduction. And it's amazing you say that, because the economy is on the brink, and war, and you're talking about they're blaming things. If you do a cyber attack, they've already set Putin up to blame him for it. Bush is no longer somebody they blame. They blame Putin for everything. So to that effect, there is $16 to $20 trillion of retirement funds. The government's working on numerous paths to take over that, and whether it's through direct seizure or whether they're going to say everybody is going to get 40% or 60% of the money into treasuries in order to protect you. We're here from the government to protect you. Then that's how they're going to do it. It may not be as overt as backing a truck up and taking your money, but they're going to slowly boil you as a frog and take your money by protecting it in treasuries and other debt instruments. So they're going to take your money in order to protect you. So what you need to do today, and what we do for people each and every day, my phone is ringing off the hook these days, is the fact that you can move your retirement from whatever your custodian is, whether it's a mainstream like Fidelity or Vanguard or somebody like that, or your corporations. You can move it into one that you control through a solo 401k apparatus that we set up for you. You have a bank account that you actually will buy metals from Steve, or buy food, which I want to talk about a little bit about tonight, because that's really important, water and other prepping supplies. But the key thing is you can move your money today, and it used to be, and this is a really breaking deal that I told Steve about recently, is we found a way through the ERISA law, which is the law that governs most people's 401ks and their IRAs, mostly 401ks. But these laws were written to protect you, but also there's some provisions that were written strictly for the uber wealthy. And we've discovered those, and we've found a way to break it out. So many times you've heard us say on a 401k that you can, if you're 59 and a half, and if you left this company or you're being laid off, you can get your money. I'm telling you tonight, for the first time, starting December 1 of this year, you'll be able to jailbreak your 401k, regardless of whether you're 59 and a half, 31, 49, doesn't matter. We have a way through the court system now to jailbreak your 401k. So if you're sitting there looking at your money worrying, well, they're going to seize my money, I don't want them to take it. I want to get gold, but I'm locked up. Or you've even called me before. I've told you you're locked up. We now have a way to break it out. So there's a 4-month. It's about a 4-month process. If you aren't at that age and you don't fit the old model, it's going to take you some time, but we can get at your money now so that you can get into precious metals, real estate, foreign real estate, which I want to talk a little bit about tonight as well, and rental properties, a litany of different things. But the most important thing, as Steve was saying, in these coming days, and I've turned from watchman to raising the remnant and teaching the remnant and training the remnant, is a completely different paradigm shift for us. So we're trying to reach out to the folks that are listening tonight and listening on the podcast. It's important that we can get your money out of the matrix, I call it, out of the system, leave Babylon, leave the Pharaoh, with an exodus strategy that we've created for you, that you can get your money out of this world system and into a God system again that you can control. That you're the fiduciary, you're the plan administrator, you're the trustee. All these things work for you and for the kingdom. So let's talk a little bit, Steve, about what people can do with their money. I mean, there's one thing
let's
want to talk about.
Let's take two. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ross. I don't mean to talk over you. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying one of the most important things is food, right? So people say, well, how can I buy food with my 401k? Well, how would that even work for me? And if you've everybody been through a hurricane or a tornado or any kind of natural disaster or even a man-made disaster, just think about the Northeast when they had, or in Baltimore when they had that whole bombing in Baltimore. All of those things, or in Boston, excuse me, not Baltimore, but Boston. So when you have those things, things shut down. If you don't have any food in your house, trucks stop running 3 days later. You have nothing in the stores. Have you ever been in a hurricane in Texas or even a rainstorm in San Antonio where I live? The stores just get emptied out, and there's only 3 days of food anywhere in the city. So everybody needs to have a food store, and they ask me, well, how can I buy food with my 401k? Well, if you buy storable food such as Numana, well, that Steve sells, things like that, those are storable packaged foods. It's not like going to Costco or Sam's and buying a dozen cans of green beans. That's not what you can do. But if you buy prepackaged, long-term, 25 to 30-year types of foods, you can hold on to that. You buy a year's worth for whatever the cost is, but you don't have to talk about that. But whatever that cost is, that's cost today. And what do you think it would be if there is no food to be had? What do you think the barter value of it would be? What would be? How would you feed your neighbor or friends, people at your church that you care about, your family that comes in from out of nowhere? So all of those things are very important. And your 401k can buy it at today's prices. And let's say 2 years from now, let's say the balloon doesn't go up in the next 6 months. I disagree. It probably will. But if it doesn't, that food's going to last 25 years, and it's only going to stay in value because if you don't open it and you don't eat it, it still maintains its freshness and its value, and you have the calories that you need, and you have the quality of the food. I mean, if you want to get non-GMO food, things like Numana has, those types of foods are going to make a huge difference to your longevity. Coupled with that, you need water, and you need a way to defend yourself. You need to have a bug out bag in case you need to bail out, in case you get overrun. Or you want to go to a foreign country. All these things are very possible with your new 401k. And again, what's most important, we can now jailbreak your 401k, regardless of your age, regardless of your work status. We can get to your money, 99% guaranteed. We work with attorneys, we work with your plan administrators, and within 4 months, your money is in your hands. You have a solo 401k to run with it. We have people that can help you invest it, or if you invest it yourself, buy precious metals with Steve, or in many things, I'm thinking you should buy a bug out location overseas. We're looking at something called Popoyo Village in Nicaragua with the gentleman that actually has been on your show, Doug, Alex Wilson, with Precious Timber, has a beautiful location near the coast in Nicaragua that's got 39 lots that are just priced to sell, that are just beautiful things that you can create a bug out community with like-minded people that somebody's going to have your back because they have one thing in common, which is the biggest thing is they're Christ believers, and they're going to have your back.
Amen. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, Alex Wilson, Precious Timber, you know the deal, folks. And Ross, thank you so much for mentioning that because it's so important. What he's doing, Christian Strong. Go on, sir. You don't need me to interrupt you anymore.
But I'm going to let Steve to jump in and mention that. But again, the food is a major part. Water is a major part. Power, shelter, bug out bags, and bug out locations. I mean, you could bug out of your house in your gated community. You go to your 20 acres somewhere else in the country, but you still may have a dictator. I think Joe was talking about that earlier in the show. Was I watched the show before we came on? We're rapidly approaching a dictatorship. It's almost like we're living in. I feel like hearing Rosebud in my ears. I hear it all coming, and it's like, if she's this corrupt now, what is she going to do when she actually has power and she has the Department of Justice and the FBI and the Homeland Security, coming and knocking their door because they may have heard a rumor or they read your social media, which I'm not a big fan of. I know you don't like cell phones. I loathe social media because I know where that information goes and how they use it. So at the end of the day, you need to not just have a place to go short-term in the country, but you need to have a strategy or plan B to get the heck out so that you can be someplace that actually has freedom still and is not going to sit there and kick your door in and you actually have believers standing around you. So all those type of things are very important, and the 401k can do that for you. So if your customers will reach out, your listeners will reach out and call me, I can tell you how to do it. And again, if you're under age 59 and a half or you don't have one that you left behind, you need to call me and get in line because when this thing opens up on December 1st, it's gonna kick the door open, and there's gonna be a lot of people ahead of you. So it's only so many people can work with so many lawyers. So if you want to do this, you need to call right away, or send me an email, or send me a contact because it's very important. And I don't know what else to tell you because the time is so urgent. I've changed my entire outlook. My wife and I, our entire family has moved from a paradigm of we need to tell everybody, shout from the rooftops, I don't want to sound like Chicken Little, the sky is falling, but from a watchman's perspective to one of up to training and leading the remnant, that those that are here, you go to the war with the armor you have. I was in the Navy, Steve. I know what condition zero is, like zebra is. You batten down all the hatches, you close everything that can leak water in, you man your battle stations, you put your gas masks on, you might even put your hazard suits on. I was in the Persian Gulf. I was in the Mediterranean playing chicken with the Russians. I drove the ship within 150 yards of an aircraft carrier, caused me to pinch washers in my shorts, but we did it, blocked them off because they were harassing us. I know what it is for condition zebra. I know what it is to go to battle stations, and I know what it is to put a missile on the rail. And that's where we are. And it's very tenuous. And this is not to scare everybody. This is a thing to wake everybody up. This is time to get the remnant moving, get off your duffs, and move forward and work for the kingdom, not necessarily for yourself. Work in the collective of the remnant more so than just yourself.
Well, and Doug, let me say something again about food. People forget the basics of the Bible. When Esau sold his birthright, I want to recommend a book that will basically slap you silly with reality. The Savage Continent by Keith Lowe. And, Ross, when I was waking up this morning, and I think I started posting, some of you know probably better than I do because I was pretty blurry-eyed, but I was posting around 4 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. This is what came into my spirit. Now, I haven't read The Savage Continent. I think I read an excerpt on it on Doug's show maybe 6 months ago. But I'm seeing something happening, Ross and Doug, that's breaking my heart. Women are going to take to the streets and then to strangers' bed to feed their families. Now, someone will laugh at that, but I'll tell you this. Most people don't have a clue of what post-war Europe was like. Most people don't know what it's like, especially in America, when we were blessed, when we walked in the ways of the Lord. And now, not only do we have to worry about there will be no food, we got to worry about the food we're eating being GMO'd. I was talking to my wife about Dr. Perlmutter, and the people don't understand something that we need to establish the right bacteria in our gut. That's what determines the immune system. And
that's right, Steve. If you can hold that thought, we are up against our break.
Okay.
We'll be right back, folks, with Steve Quill from stevequill.com and Ross Powell from survival401k.com. Steve will be with us for the rest of the show, Ross, into the next segment, so do not go anywhere. We got a lot more news information coming your way right after this break. Stay with us.
Uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
Worldwide demand is making coconuts one of the highest yielding cash crops available today. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and many high-net-worth individuals have invested billions of dollars into coconuts for strong growth and solid long-term income. Yields could be as high as 18% or more per year. Capital appreciation and exceptional income for up to 60 long years would be an absolutely brilliant investment to pass on to future generations. Diversify wisely with direct ownership of fully managed coconuts on prime farmland close to the beautiful Costa Rican border. For more information, qualified accredited investors should go to profitsincoconuts.com or phone 855-888-6288. That's 855-888-6288. This announcement does not constitute an offer to sell securities or a solicitation of an offer to purchase. Offer made by prospectus only. 855-888-6288 or visit profitsincoconuts.com. profitsincoconuts.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Joe Charles, the guy whose voice is heard announcing for the Hagman and Hagman Report right here on YouTube and across the Global Star Radio Network. There have been many people wondering whose music is being played during those breaks. Well, you guessed it. And we're very pleased to announce that all that music and 11 brand new songs from the CD New Jerusalem is set for release on April 10th for download on iTunes. That means you can help support my ministry and be blessed by this awesome, inspiring recording. I have been fortunate to work with some phenomenal musicians from around the world that helped us put this recording together in the studio. Simply go to joecharlesmusic.com and click on the iTunes link, or if you'd rather have a CD, we'll send one right out to you. Just leave me your email and we'll get right back to you. And thanks to Doug and Joe Hagman for making this all possible. God bless.
Reporting on what the mainstream media won't, you're listening to the Hagman and Hagman Report on the Global Star Radio Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hagman and Hagman Report. Thanks for staying with us. Our guest, Steve Quayle from stevequayle.com, Ross Powell from survival401k.com. Folks, visit Survival401k. Talk to Ross Powell. He can navigate you through the waters, the rough waters that is the economy of today. Please do that. Also, Steve, folks, I'm just delighted Steve Quayle has put together a 6-book package for all of us. 6 critical reads by Steve Quayle, available via stevequayle.com, or just go to hagmanreport.com. And right at the bottom there of the write-up for tonight's show is a direct link, directly to his offer for 6 books from stevequayle.com. $240 if you buy them separately. He packaged them together. $175. That's a great deal. The book's fantastic. It's an incredible deal. So please take advantage of that, as well as True Legends the series. Steve, we're going to kick it back to you.
I'll just make this quick. The danger of everybody eating food, especially that's going to be available if the government hands out anything, is all the glyphosates, and it is having a detrimental effect on the stomachs of people all over the world. So I just want to say this: New Manna, when I agreed to get back into that world of food, having been one of the biggest canners over the Y2K years, is that they have the only organic line. They have the only non-GMO line. They have the only non-antibiotic line for their beef and chicken. And they put together, when I was talking to them, I said, listen, you guys, I'm tired of empty calories. That's kind of like having a bank account with a bunch of zeros in front, the decimal point in front of a bunch of zeros. It doesn't do you any good. When it comes to food, here's something it's not tough. You can't live on 800 calories a day. You don't take 800 calories a day, multiply it by 360, and say, oh, gee, there's a year's food supply, yet it's done all the time. When we sat down with New Manna and they basically designed it, it was enough food. Now, here's the thing about tonight. This isn't an infomercial. It basically is saying, those of you who are saying, well, what am I going to do with my 401k money? What am I going to do with my retirement? How am I going to make money? I don't want to, you're going to have to learn to barter, just like everybody did in history. But, Ross, I have basically calculated just on last year's, not the lying economic indicators, but the real economic indicators of what food's going to cost. I project no war, 25 to 30% inflation in food. I project with even escalating tensions and shutdowns in the trucking business, the shipping business, which we're already seeing with the Baltic Dry Index, I am projecting that 50% higher foods, because these devils that run the world are going to make sure they starve the Americans and other nations, especially Western Europeans, into submission. So So, ladies and gentlemen, you can call Ross. He can take care of you on converting your let's say, locked up assets, but also just your regular 401ks. Ross, you can get that done in about 30 days, can't you?
Oh, less than that. If you have a legacy 401k that's a company that you left many years ago, or you have an IRA or something like that, we can get that done in 10 days. So you can go from the time you call me, we get you set up with you put your application in. 10 days later, there's a good chance you're going to have your money in your bank account that you can call Steve and get your food. You can call, get your gold. You can work on getting your property. You can go and look in foreign countries. And one thing that's interesting about that too is you can actually, the cost of going to a foreign country to get a bug out location, it could be considered a plan expense. So your trip to Nicaragua and the Pueblo Village or something like that can be paid for by your plan as an expense for your investment. So all of these things, especially the food, this is really important, because I want to quote Henry Kissinger from 1971, and I've done this once or twice before. Many of you may have not have heard this or recall it, is that Henry Kissinger said, if you control the oil, you control the country. If you control food, you control the people. And everybody that's ever been hungry knows what I'm talking about. Anybody that's fasted knows what I'm talking about. Your stomach aches, it hurts, you want a meal, all these things. And if you're fasting, the spiritual side will fulfill you. But if you're just plain hungry, you'll do anything. And if you see your children crying or you're hungry, your wife is crying or hungry, and people will do anything and everything to get that food, whether it's rape, burn, and pillage. They will do it in order to get that food. And if you don't have any, you're going to want some. But if you do have some, it seems that it is better. It can be just as good or better than gold, given your situation in bartering. So if you have 1 ounce gold coins, that's great for wealth preservation. But if you need to eat, or somebody else, if you want to trade something, you have them. If you have food, they'll give you that gold that you have. They'll give that 1 ounce gold for whatever you want to give them for, because their stomach is hurting, they may have, their children are hurting. So those things, you cannot emphasize how important long-term storable food is. And if it has high calorie count, if it has solid meat in it, no GMOs, none of this other crap that's put in other companies' fillers, the hundreds of different soups. But you're going to eventually get what's called food fatigue. And if you get food fatigue, you still be hungry, but you don't want to eat it because you're just really tired of food. And I was in the Navy, and we went through food fatigue because you got the same stuff day after day. And I was an officer, and we still got the same food day after day. So you get kind of to the point where you don't want to eat. It was great for weight loss for me, but long term, it's not really good for your health. And on top of that, if the Chinese, go ahead, Steve. Do you want to say something?
No. I want you to, because of your naval background, I want you to tell the people in no uncertain terms, Ross, how concerned you are based on everything you're seeing, because they need to hear it from you, a Navy guy, and you're also a guy that basically can speak from experience. So and I told Ross tonight, I said, Ross, we don't know, not tonight, but the other day when we talked about setting up this interview, I said, I want you to give both barrels. Don't hold back. And so, Ross, give the 12 gauge both barrels at the same time, the reality check, because I've never seen people so dumb unto destruction, and yet, the Russians have basically bivouacked or sheltered 40 million people. The Chinese can shelter a couple 100 million people, and there is no shelter for the Americans. There's no provision. So when they say, well, they'll come and help me, there is no they'll come and help me. So I want you to give both barrels, and I'll just listen until you want to make or pass it over to Doug or whatever, because this is critical coming from you with your background in the military.
Absolutely. And my background was a shipboard officer. I was a weapons officer, as well as a Navy intelligence officer for the ship on shipboard, as well as I handle special weapons, which are, or we call them nukes, I guess today we call them special weapons. But I can tell you, everybody tells you the best military in the world. And our people believe that, and our sailors and soldiers and airmen and Marines believe that. But if they're under-equipped and been castrated by political correctness and in the rules of engagement. When I served in the Persian Gulf fighting the Iranians the first time, going through the Red Sea when it was mined, we know what that's like. I felt the day of writing a letter that went out to my wife saying we could die tomorrow, because we did a special mail drop because we're going to be on the point to launch against Iran. I know what it feels like to get ready to die, and I know what it means to know when you're outgunned. And I hear from my friends that are still in the Navy and funds that have been retired but still have contacts, that the weapon systems that we have are great, but the ones that the Russians have are far superior because they keep developing and overcoming. They're great problem solvers. They've lasted hundreds of years through great oppression and great distress. And Putin's no dummy. We have somebody riding a bicycle in Massachusetts on the coast, and Putin's riding a horse without a shirt on. It looks pretty good for his age. So at the end of the day, you have somebody who's riding a bicycle versus somebody who's riding a stallion. These aren't people to screw with. These are people to be afraid of. And so they have weapon systems today. Their SA-400 that they've developed and they put in Syria, and the SA-500 they have in their own continent can knock down our stealth fighters, our stealth bombers. They can knock down just about anything and everything, hundreds of contacts simultaneously. So we think we're just going to launch on them and suddenly they're going to surrender. You need to change your paradigm on what your thinking is. Because when you start poking your finger in the bear's eye, you start pulling the chain of the Chinese who have actually built a lot of the circuit boards and our weapon systems, who's to say they haven't built in kill switches in certain pieces that are undetectable? If you can hack into the DNC, if you can hack into the FBI database and many government databases, they can put secret pieces of code inside electronics that who's to say people aren't even bribed? We know how bribes work within certain candidates' backgrounds and giving things away, uranium out of Utah. So I want people to recognize that this is the in hour. This is condition C, bro, for this entire listening audience. This is not play games. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I've lived it. I've seen it. I know the weapons that they have, and this is nothing that you want to mess around with. I feel like I'm on fire, and I don't want to scare anybody, but I feel this strongly that we need to get the remnant ready. And I'm tired of telling everybody what to do. I'm tired of people not listening to me. I'm tired of people calling me crazy, wearing a copper colander to my head. This is real, and if you don't see it, I'm sorry, but you need to step out and trust in the Lord and go with prayer and fasting and recognize what your part of the kingdom is. Because doomsday is coming, and they may kick the can down the road before after the election. But if Hillary's elected, she's already got a major beef with Putin, and she's going to go to the mats on it. So whether Trump can do it, whether Hillary's the president, we have a big problem. And you need to prepare for it. And if you use food for your 401k or use it for weapons or ammo or land or solar systems or even, I'm looking at your website during the break, and almost everybody that's a sponsor on your webpage can be bought. Their product can be bought with their 401k. I met Lane Miller with the Minuteman stove. I'm looking at the new saltwater generator, was phenomenal. That can be bought. Almost everything in the American Hope Survival Wholesale, all of these things are doable. And plus the food that Steve offers on his site, and all of these things are very important to get ready today. Because the time's going to come when it's going to be too late. You're going to say, woulda, shoulda, coulda, didn't. And you don't want to be looking at it and shooting on yourself with your family when they're looking at your hunger. What's for dinner tonight? Well, we need to go graze in the backyard or kill our chicken or whatever we may have. That's the last thing you want to do. So I can't be any more explicit, any more double-barrel shotgun. You can actually buy one of those with your 401k, by the way, Steve. So all of those things are very important, and it's just the call to action. It's the time to do it. Many of the listeners here are the remnant. They are the people of the cloth that are wanting to move ahead, and they know what's coming. You feel it in your spirit. Your friends feel it in their spirit, too. It's time to act. It's not time to, I'll get to it next week, or I can't afford it, or maybe I should try to get my 401k. If you have a lot of money in a 401k and you can't do anything with it, you need to call me because I can help you break it out.
Or call us.
Today,
sorry, no, I don't mean to make light of this because I agree 100% with you, Ross. The time to act is now. If we don't act, then you know what, we deserve, in my view, to lose everything that we've worked for if we don't act. Because and Steve said it very well. I mean, and you certainly doubled down on your statement. We need to act right now. We need to do it. If we don't, we lose everything. Who do we complain to? No one. I mean, we've got no right to complain. I'm sorry. I just, when you said, when you were very assertive, it just got me fired up too, because I'm fed up with the people who are just whining about stuff, and it's over.
Well, hey, Ross, here's a question for you. Would you ever have imagined that evangelical Christians and, let's say this, left-wingers, because they have voted for Hillary, would you ever imagine that they would be so almost indifferent to the threats of World War III? Let me just share everything, and Russ, you can probably ditto this. I've studied, I've written about it. I've been on talk radio 25 years, and I kept saying, listen, you guys, you got to understand, when people head to the bunkers, they're telling you they intend to live. When we don't have bunkers, they're saying we intend for you to die. I think that, people have got to understand something. Russia will use our nukes first, and we're going to provoke them to that, and we're doing it in order to facilitate the, if you will, the Islamic Muslim end-time plan for the return of the Mahdi, the Islamic Messiah. So wherever can't figure out yet, Hillary Clinton, her aide and probably girlfriend, it has been suggested that, in my opinion, there are so many things that are going to come out in that realm, but as a Muslim, she is a absolute fanatical Muslim, and so now you've got basically Hillary saying, hey, if you think what Obama did to open up the borders, wait until you see what I do. This is a war on the West. This is a war on Western civilization. They are dying in Europe. Europe is finished. Listen, Germany's finished. Norway, Sweden are finished. Italy is toast. You go down the line, and ladies and gentlemen, Gaddafi made the statement. He was even making the statement. He said, you're going to see Europe turn brown. And he was one of the restraining forces. Now, let's just go to Murder Inc., okay? Who made the statement? We came, we saw, he died, okay? Ask yourself this. Look at every policy that's been put into place by this administration, and you've got war, death, ancillary, women, children. You've got the ISIS butchering people, putting babies and putting young Christian kids in dough machines and kneading them to death or cooking them alive. And I want to say something. This is it. Where are you evangelical professings? Have you shed one tear over your brethren in other countries who are being tortured, butchered, murdered, cannibalized, and every other sort of hideous mutilation of human bodies? Have you self-righteous evangelicals who are emailing me, by the way, today, saying, I can't vote for Donald Trump. He's saying, I don't want war. I'd rather get along with Putin and in a deal that's good for both countries. And meanwhile, you've got the blood queen saying, it's all Russia's fault. The vilification of Russia, look, I'm not defending Russia, but I am telling you this. I'm saying that I believe that given what Ross knows, and I've been briefed by guys with more stars than most people know even exist, and they are talking about the sophistication of the Russian missiles. Look, I know when you're shooting missiles and you can correct your MIRV warheads and change everything mid-flight, that presents a real problem. You mentioned the S-500. There's nothing we have that can compare to it. The ships that we have are billion-dollar follies, dying in the water multiple times, submarines being forced to surface, and yet the band plays on, and you've got George Soros, who is probably, he said he's God, and may God, the God of heaven, bring him to the same fate as King Herod. Those of you who know your Bible know what that means. We've got people praying tonight, Doug, a worldwide prayer and fasting going on, that God will intervene. And yet I got to tell you something. The idea that the Christians who are saying, well, I can't vote for Trump because of his womanizing, yet they will put in all of this. There is no law in the land. Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to know what the mystery of iniquity is, you're watching it right now. And by the way, the Bundys in the whole group was found not guilty, but they won't let the two Bundys out of prison, and his lawyer threw a fit in court, and they tasered him. So if you think there's equal protection under the law, the only equal protection that is left is trial by our peers and a jury. So, Doug, I'm serious. I had three questions. Let me give them out, Ross, and I want you to respond, because you get the real world. You were in it. You knew you could have been toast, at a second, okay? Have you, I'm talking to everybody listening to me around the world who wants to send emails to Doug or me, or take Doug's, and by the way, I think that was a brilliant article, Doug, you wrote. Questions: have you prayed and interceded for your brothers and sisters around the world being slaughtered for their testimony of Jesus, okay? Have you shed a tear or tears over the slaughter of the innocent being butchered and sold as meat? Have you shed any tears over the aborted? How about this? Do you ever cry out or even care about the lies, the murder, the cheating, the slander, the mockery of the living God at all? Or have you ever said anything or stood against it? That's why I admire Dave Daubermeyer. God bless you, Dave. You're listening. Man, he's on the streets, and maybe in 3-4, but he's on the streets. When people needed food down in Louisiana, Dave gave me a call, sent me an email, and said, "You got it, brother. Let's go." Dave gets in a truck. He gets in a truck. Listen, he's trying to provoke you men of God to become men of God. And I am so sick of, and personally sick, I am so sick, if I had to rate, the majority of emails that I get from, quote, men of God, and then if I had to rate the scathing ones of women who are going to vote for Hillary Clinton, then I'm going to say what the Lord said to me. This is your time to choose. It's not between Trump and Clinton. It's about a bigger issue. It's about a bigger issue. One says they have women's right to kill babies. Look, if you were a queen of Moloch, you'd probably say the same thing. If you were a warlock, you'd say the same thing. But how Christians can basically smugly say, well, I can't deal with Donald Trump because of his words. What words have come out of your mouth? And, oh, by the way, what do you look at on the Internet? Or what soap operas? Or what are you watching?
People, right?
Yep. And so the thing is that, look, we are incredibly deceived, but God is making it clear. Your vote isn't for Hillary or Trump. It's for truth. And listen, if everybody in the world who Doug and I and all the other talk show hosts, Alex has made numerous DVDs, Alex Jones and others, and we're all trying to warn you for 2.5 decades, Alex 2 decades, I guess me 2.5 decades, and now it's all happening. You think we just did this because, he wants to sell his gold. Oh, no, he wants to sell his vitamins. Oh, no, he wants to sell his book. Look, we paid a price. But you, if you do not listen to us, are going to pay the ultimate price. But it won't just be and someone says, but you're trying to put fear on me. You better believe it, because you better get right with the Lord Jesus Christ, because the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. And how, Doug, and how Ross, can people who claim to be bought by the blood of a lamb, who claim to be Christians, how can they even consider that? Go on the front of Drudge. She's snorting down booze like it's basically drinking the bathtub water. So I cannot understand how people can take that position, because when we come into the next hour, this is introductory flaming. I'm going to tell you what God put in my heart. Here's what I've said since I've been on Talk Radio, Ross. You've heard me, and then I'm going to get over to you right now. You take everything I say to prayer, and I cannot tell you the hatred that I'm seeing in people that absolutely hate Jesus, they hate Trump, and they absolutely love Hillary. And I'm only saying, those are the same people, and I've broken fellowship. Here's my last statement, Ross. If someone tells me they're a believer and they're going to vote for Hillary Clinton, I say to you, may the God of heaven judge you according to your sin, because you're acknowledging that you have no issues with her sin. Go ahead, Ross.
I would add to that, but may God reward you according to your works, is what Scripture comes to me as well. But the two issues there for me, and my wife and I were talking about over the weekend, and with our series of friends, is that this is not about Hillary or Trump. It's not about language, because everybody knows Hillary cusses like a sailor. I was on a ship. I know what cussing like a sailor is. And she talks so ugly to her people, dropping the F-bomb, GD, every words you can imagine Hillary uses, she just didn't get taped, but there's a lot of people saying that she does. I have people that I know that said she does. But the bigger thing is the late-term abortion, where she thinks it's okay to pull a baby 3/4 of the way out of the mother at 8 months or 8.5 months and pith it, and then sell the body parts, which somebody gets convicted of recording over. If you think that's okay, but don't think late-term abortion is okay, and you think people that are the Supreme Court justices that are going to take away your guns, take away a lot of your freedoms, your freedom of speech, and invoke the epitome of political correctness on top of you, and you're a Christian and you think that's okay, then may God reward you according to your works. And I'm not afraid what email I get from that, because that's the way it is. And the things are coming that nobody has any idea. There, you see all these shirts that say stay calm and do whatever. I'm saying stay calm and vote. Stay calm and believe in Jesus. Stay calm and pray, because those things are going to be what's going to hold you together. You're going to need your food. You're going to need your water. You're going to need your shelter. You're going to need your family. You're going to need weapons and ammo. In order to survive, you're going to need that. And Steve, you talked about bunkers and things where the Russians covered 40 million people and the Chinese have hundreds of millions. We have zero. The only people that have bunkers now are government workers, people that can collect taxes after we're nuked. Those kind of things, they don't have. Back in the 50s and 60s, they had shelters for everybody. We'd have crackers or whatever the food they have. They have nothing for anybody. If you're a billionaire, you have an old missile silo that you're going to live in, and you'll survive. Everybody else rots outside. And you think about a nuclear war. If you understand special weapons like I do, whether it's 20 kilotons or whether it's 5 megatons, there is a blast radius. In a minute, you get vaporized. You're the lucky one. The ones that are outside of that get burned to death in a firestorm. I looked at when my sister lives in Houston. I did a simulation for her in Houston. It blows up the middle of Houston. She lives in the woodlands. It blows away the center of the city, but it burns the woodlands down and Spring, Texas down. It burns all that down. And outside of that, you're going to die of radiation sickness, which is one of the worst ways to die. So if you're not prepared for all those kind of things, because it's coming, the Bible tells us it's coming, and it's gotten closer and closer. And this country is in the political class that's pushing this is trying to get us to the brink where it's going to kill off a bunch of people, cull the herd, and we're down, and it saves the earth, and all this other kind of stuff. This is not tinfoil hat. This is not colander head. This is reality. Read the news with a different set of eyes. There's an old saying about reading the handwriting on the wall. Well, it's time to read it. It's been written. It's been written in blood. People need to know, get on it, get ready, and prepare. But again, the only thing that you can have all these preparations, and 99% of preparation is the mind game. If your head's not in the game, and whether it's in the fog of war, because I've had it, the fog of war will make you confused, will make you slow, because the endorphins slow you down. The fight or flee will slow you down. You won't think clearly. You'll just get this big thickness in your head. And so if you're not right with Jesus, you don't have your preparations ready, you're not trained, you don't have the equipment that you need, look at all of the vendors on the Hagmann site, and look at the people that on Steve said, many of these things were all available for your 401k. I can show you how to do it. I can show you to get there, and it's going to make a huge difference in not just your life, but your family's life and your extended family's life.
Amen, Ross.
You have ways to tithe. I know I'm probably running long, and
yeah, we're right up against the break. Folks, that's Ross Powell from Survival401k.com. Make sure you bookmark his website. We'll be right back after these short messages. Stay with us.
Hello everyone, this is Joe Charles for American Survival Wholesale's annual summer sizzle sale going on right now with prices so low you'll be amazed. Take advantage of these savings on tents, sleeping bags, camping cookware, utensils, canopies, solar showers, hammocks, and so much more. All things summer related are drastically reduced. Just type Summer Sizzle on the search bar at the top right side of AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com and be surprised at the savings. The good folks at ASW are making this possible to accommodate everyone to ensure your wellness in these uncertain times that we are facing. ASW Summer Sizzle Sale won't last long, so the time is right now want to stock up on these great products. You will be glad that you made American Survival Wholesale your choice for incredible savings while there is still time to spend a day at the beach. That's AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com, the only wise choice for all of your survival needs. You may never look at your city, town, or its people the same way ever again. Stained by Blood, a murder investigation based upon a true story by private investigator Douglas J. Hagman. Using the character Mark Stiles, Hagman takes you on a journey behind the scenes where the homicide becomes secondary to an underworld of satanic ritual abuse, child abduction, and even mind-controlled experimentation. A world dismissed as conspiracy by those who want to keep its secrets hidden, exposing the dangers, denials, and deceptions. For 5 years, a brutal killer remained on the loose, free to kill again. As Mark struggles to navigate the maze of bizarre twists and untangle a web of deeply hidden secrets kept by some of the most powerful and influential people in his community and beyond. Stained by Blood. Order your copy of this engaging novel today at HagmanandHagman.com and click on the link. Stained by Blood.
Reporting on what the mainstream media won't, you're listening to the Hagman and Hagman Report on the Global Star Radio Network.
Folks, the further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. That's quoting George Orwell. We're joined right now this hour by from Steve Quayle, stevequayle.com, who, by the way, very gracious, very generous book offer. Go to stevequayle.com or go to stevequayle.com. He's got his 6 essential books, $75 off. It's an incredible buy. Go to stevequayle.com and take advantage of that offer. Steve and I were talking earlier today. Had just a fantastic conversation about the milquetoast, spineless, snowflake Christians, and I'm sorry to say Christians, conservatives as well, and even conservative Christians who are hiding behind these self-righteous and sanctimonious excuses for ultimately casting their vote for Hillary Clinton. Steve, thanks for hanging on with us, and thanks for agreeing to do this hour. I'm going to kick it to you, Steve, and just take it.
Well, thank you, Doug. And listen, everyone, I have never seen the attacks on my personal website. You know, it used to be a joke, Doug, that I got knocked off shortwave more than ever. But what I'm noticing is people who are saying anything that I would call reality-based are really having problems now with their website. So, you know, I was praying today, and I was, following my own request, fasting today, earlier in the day, and just saying, God, I have to make your point tonight, and I have to make it real. I can't do that, Jesus, without your anointing. So, today, and Doug, this is true, you used a word that I had just sent in a rebuke to one of these, basically the guy said this, I'm paraphrasing, and I'm about ready to put it up on my net because it so infuriated me, basically, you can't do anything to stop it. You know that we're going to be destroyed and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know that. And I said, listen, and if you're listening tonight, I'm the one that said, and I stand by it, and this was before there was any talk of nuclear war, preemptive strikes. I said, God is going to reveal the sins of the leaders to the people, their leaders, our leaders. You think that's being done? And before that, and also during that, he's going to reveal the people's sins before a holy God. And that prefaced it by saying, before God allows the United States to be nuked by Russia and China, those were the exact words, he's going to reveal the sins of the leaders to the people. You know, Doug, and I'll be blunt, ladies and gentlemen. I talked to Doug because he was very almost cathartic for me, because I could not believe and still cannot believe that people don't get it. It's just like this. Somebody says, well, how do you know that was really a real satellite that was shot down, a spy satellite, and not a weather satellite? Is that a good monotone, or, you know, I call it a nasal tone? I said, simple, because the guys that used to run them contact me, okay? And that doesn't happen every time, you know? The point is that we're talking about ASAT, anti-satellite warfare, going on, okay? The very first thing you take out is basically your eyes, your ears, and your ability to communicate. That's called C3, Charlie 3. So, you know, when I was talking to Doug, he used two words, you know, and one of them was sanctimonious. And independent of each other, we got that. So I want to start out now this part of the show by saying this. Ross can work at record level speed. I have so many, dozens and dozens of clients that are happy with him all the time. The only problem Ross has ever encountered is with the bank with a stagecoach that just seems intent on messing around with other people's deposits, meaning they really try and fight their own depositor. I have a depositor, a friend, a dear friend, a client that literally had to go and sit outside the president of one of their banks to get him to give her money, Doug, and she had deposited everything it cleared, and he kept telling the secretary, tell her I'm out to lunch, tell her I'm not here. So I said, my dear sister, you go in there and you sit there. I said, you have your cell phone, and if he denies you the access to your phone, you call me, put him on. I'll tell him who I am. Look, I'm a nobody, but I call Alex and I call other people, and she said, and you'll have a run on your bank, sir. Guess what, Doug? Well, I see here now that it's cleared. We'll be glad to give you your money. This is warfare against you, ladies and gentlemen. It's total war. Now, I want to give out two numbers, and these are numbers. Ross mans his phone as Ryan mans the Numana phones. 844-650-5733. That's Ross. That's Survival 401k. You just heard him. 844-650-5733. This guy knows how to move quick. Ryan will take your calls. He'll call you back. His phone number is 406-581-0182. 406-581-0182. Now, look, if you've got gluten issues, I have to eat gluten-free. I can't, you know, I've got really severe gluten allergies. And if you want organic, if you want non-GMO, this is the only stuff that's out there. And it's about 1,500 calories a day per person, and it's real calories. So saying that, look, all that a man gives, we can be smug when we're not hungry. We can be smug when it's not our neck or our throat being cut. We can have all these dumbass, lazy ass, and those are, dumbass is biblical. Lazy ass is basically probably just applying the application to people that are so passive that they simply believe that, I've said this, they're going to view the end times on their big screen, eating popcorn, drinking beer or whatever, probably, diet soda, thinking that somehow they made it to heaven. Or that they're going to make it to heaven. Psalm 94, 15 through 17. But judgment shall return unto righteousness, and all the upright in heart shall follow it. Now listen to this. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers, or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless the Lord had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. So I'm going to ask everybody there that's, basically, well, I can't vote for Donald Trump because he uses the P word. I can't vote. Or Megyn Kelly, who posed in the most provocative photo shoot. Basically, you wouldn't call it a presentation of proper ladymanship, calling Trump a sexual predator until Newt Gingrich dressed her down. She undressed herself, and Newt Gingrich dressed her down. But the thing is who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Doug, you get it, I get it. We want you, or why don't you guys do this, or why don't you guys do that? okay, or the workers of iniquity. Iniquity is lawlessness. Can anybody who's going to vote for Hillary Clinton, who claims to be a Christian, black or white, Latino or Oriental, claim that she doesn't personify Psalm 94, the 16th verse? Who will rise up for me for the evildoers, or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? How else could George Soros, who owns 28 companies or 28 states voting machines, remember, he said Trump's going to win the public election, but he's going to lose the electoral votes. That should be prima facie evidence of vote tampering, which, by the way, is a felony. And where is the FBI? Oh, I get it. The FBI is basically trying to huddle a little bit more because, the assistant director's wife got $500K from the Clinton Foundation? You know, it's on my website. And then I posted, Doug, a dream today, and I can't tell you how many people verified and validated it. The title of it on my website, I think it's in the alerts, God gave this Bible-believing woman a dream 30 years ago that the Bible would be banned in America and possession of God's Word would be a capital offense. Now, do you ever think that, had you ever heard that from anybody else other than me?
No, not until we met nearly 20 years ago. No. Never.
Okay, so I'm claiming something to all you paid hack shills, Jesus-hating demons. You know, when you say nothing you say ever comes to pass, everything he says is just fear-mongering, blah 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 blah. Nobody else said that long ago. Now here's a lady this is Susan. Hi, Susan. Steve, I just read the above alert and remembered from the book of Amos, which I had read a couple days ago. The Lord God himself prophesied that he will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea, from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. Amos 11:12. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you are hearing the word of the Lord. You say, you can't say that you speak for God. No, I'm just reading you what his word says. I know you know this, Steve, because I've heard you say this many times in various interviews. We should be living as close to Jesus and memorizing as much of the word as we can, keeping it in our hearts. I've been collecting King James Version Bibles for this very reason. Just wanted to share. You know, ladies and gentlemen, there was a book and a movie made by Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451. If you've ever watched it, the ownership of books was forbidden. Well, the day is coming where the Quran will be elevated above God's Word. The day is coming where the testimony of Jesus will cost us our lives. The day is here when it's open season on Christians, just like that dumbass professor that claims that Christians are as much, fundamentalist Christians are as evil as terrorists. Oh, yeah? Show me anybody who is or show me a group of Christians that are going around cutting people's heads off. Show me a group of Christians that are cutting young children's heads off or pulling their hearts out or putting babies down on the ground and putting their foot to their neck and tearing their heads off. Show me. Or show me the abortion scalpel or the hyenas and the jackals saying, I believe I'm doing God's work, the God of this world. Show me. Again, Doug, this is an indictment, okay? Who will rise up for me against the evildoers, or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? So I don't care. I don't even know her name, so I don't even need to mention it. But some well-known Christian woman who has Christian women seminars has just endorsed Hillary. You know, all I can say is the occupants of hell are laughing their infernal beings off. How could we have settled for such deception? And it's only going to get worse. Now I want to give some more scripture. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Look, David said it. Pastor David Langford said it. This is God separating the sheep from the goats, you know. People would rather, threaten, or they want to do this or do that. I'm going to kick your ass. That's what I get all the time. I can't wait to, put a bullet, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? Maybe God's got another plan. And so, David was always dealing with that. Nehemiah was always dealing with that, and people are saying, do you know what so-and-so is saying about you? I said, do you know what Jesus will ultimately say about them? Depart from me, ye who work iniquity, lawlessness. I never knew you. So, Doug, here's the thing tonight, and I'm at warp speed now. It doesn't matter if you claim to know Jesus. You don't know him if he doesn't know you, because you're trying to make your claim on a system of belief you think is the same as salvation, and you've never repented or gotten right with the Lord Jesus Christ. How about this one, Doug? If thou faint in the day of adversity, Proverbs 24:10 through 12, thy strength is small. If you forbear to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain, if you say, Behold, we knoweth it not, doth not he that pondereth the heart consider it? And he that keepeth thy soul, doth not he know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his works? So in essence, when you stand, if you make it to the judgment seat of Christ as a Christian, and God said, why did you allow the evil? Why did you allow the slaughter of my children in the womb? And you wouldn't speak up. Them that are drawn unto death, guess what, Doug? Tonight, we are speaking up to them that are drawn unto death. And I got to tell you something. No excuses will excuse us in the presence of God Almighty. So when we talk about, some of the outrageous statements, I want everybody to ask themselves that. Look, I'm going to give you the question. It's not a multiple choice. Have you prayed and interceded for our brethren being slaughtered for their testimony of Jesus? Have you ever done it once? Have you shed a tear or tears over the slaughter of the innocents, the babies being butchered through abortion? Do you ever care about the lies, murder, cheating, slandering, and mockery of the living God at all, or even said or stand against it? How about this? Democrats. Well, I'm a Democrat. The Democratic Party said, we don't believe in God. The Democratic Party said, we believe in the Quran. So, and they've done it officially and unofficially. Never in the history of the world, listen, Donald Trump, and I'm going to go on record, is the prosecuting attorney in the kingdom of God. Those of you that don't believe that God can use someone as whatever you may say, base as he is, God's used me, God's used Doug. None of us have clean slates. But you pick at him for such minute, and listen, I'm not saying what he said is right. If he's wrong, he apologizes. But did you ever think that maybe this is God's way of bringing him to himself? No human being without the power of the living God could stand against 97% of the press of the world, of the ridicule, the scorn, and everything, and do it without the power of God, Doug. And that's why I said I stand behind him. Now, understand me when I say this. I don't know if God gives an intermission for 1 year, 6 months, 2. The word that he gave me will come to pass. Russia and China will nuke us. I don't know the outcome of the election. I know if it weren't for God, Hillary's a shoo-in. But again, you've got to understand, if any Christian votes for that woman, knowing what she's done, the lies, the complicity, Benghazi, all of the overthrows, selling, ladies and gentlemen, selling out her country to the highest bidder, giving technology that's top secret, selling uranium mines, everything that you can think. If you vote for her, you are a partaker of her sin, and you will be a partaker of the judgment on the whore that rides the beast. And I'm sorry, Doug, it can't get any plainer. The problem is people have yet in this generation to see that God is holy, faithful, just, and true. That none of us have seen God act in such a manner as Sodom, Gomorrah. We have not seen the judgment on Mystery Babylon. So while everybody's fighting over, well, I just don't know. And I have a weak-willed former friend that I said to my wife tonight, because I knew it was going to come on, I said, I will never speak to him again. He's the one I told you about who said he's glad Muslims are coming to this country. It'll give him a better chance to evangelize. Meanwhile, the guy's an alcoholic. Meanwhile, he's not won one person to the Lord. Meanwhile, he's an expert on everything, but even though he graduated from Rhema, he thinks that once he graduated from Rhema, that's a Bible college, he now is set. He's got to wake up. And guess what? His wife just parrots him. So, and she used to lead worship in a very big church. Well, here's the thing. We're compromised, we're co-opted, and we're in the targets. Let me make it really simple. Thank you, Jesus. If you are a Christian who believes in the inerrancy of the Word of God,
believes that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, that he was crucified and rose again on the third day, if you believe that Jesus is coming back, you are already a criminal, you are already a terrorist, and believe me, the men and all of their machines, every form of database has been breached, and it's all in their hands. If you believe that somehow they'll just go down to the door beyond this, everybody who is anybody in the conservative movement, and I'm talking real conservatives, not the ones that have sold out like Paul Ryan and just about everybody in the Senate and Congress. But the point is that how did we get this way? It is because we've given heed to seducing spirits. The mystery of iniquity, it's no longer a mystery, yet people will still stand on that, Doug. They'll still stand on it. Well, I believe Hillary is the lesser of two evils. Are you kidding me? You know? And so can I say something? And now I'm going to let you step into this. I have never seen such weakness in my life. I have never seen such complacency, apathy, indifference, and a nonchalantness. And it's kind of like people, they say you used to whistle by the graveyard, whatever. The point is now they're all sitting under a mushroom, a giant mushroom, not realizing that giant mushroom is real. I can tell you, it's only God, it's only God who's holding back the thermonuclear destruction of the United States and most of Western Europe. Western Europe is toast based on what, in sub-20 minutes, okay? Sub-20 minutes. The United States based on submarines, based on high-tech weaponry. What Ross couldn't tell you is some of the stuff they got. What I will tell you this, the Russians have been building up. We have been destroying our military. Do you really think you're going to go up against Spetsnaz or Chinese special forces going, just a minute, sir, I got to get my lipstick. Oh, I'm sorry, my dress is too high. I'm talking about men, okay? Oh, let me take off my high heels and get my cowboy boots or my combat boots on. Now, look, that is absolutely deplorable, and it's absurd beyond my ability to even define absurdity beyond what I just said.
Tell us how you really feel, Steve. No, and I agree. I totally agree with you, and I think we're at a point today, folks who are listening to this, Christians who are listening to this. By the way, Dave Daubenmire wrote just a tremendous article today. God bless that man, and I believe the title of it was "My Christian Friends Would Rather See Hillary as President than vote for Trump," and he details how. Much like you did, Steve, he writes out basically how he's lost friendships and people have said, enough. I'm gonna vote for Hillary, and he makes a very good intelligence argument on the facts with respect to Donald Trump. But having said that, we don't have it. I mean, we're out of time, Steve. We are out of time as a nation, and I believe as a body of the church. I'm no expert on this. I'm just a looking investigator by profession. I'm no expert. But I do know there's a lot wrong here, and we know what Hillary is. We know her policies. We've had 30 years to identify what she has done. So, what troubles me the most, Steve, is how anybody can, and I've seen so many email threads, these chains with, some big Christian names. And a lot of our listeners will never see those email threads, but having these people saying, well, I have to vote my conscience. Steve, what does that mean? But saying I can't vote for Trump, I have to vote my conscience.
Well, it tells me they've got consciences that are seared, Doug. Their consciences are seared.
In a perfect world, where we would have the ability to have a third party candidate at this late hour who is morally upright, morally better than anyone running, then that's different. But we have to play the cards that we're dealt, and to do this, we've only got two choices in this election: Trump or Hillary. Really, when it comes right down to two viable choices. So any Christian who says I have to vote my conscience, and so I can't vote for Trump, to me, is saying
meow meow meow
yeah, there you
meow
go.
meow 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 meow. I'm sorry, Doug. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Go ahead, but
that's-
that is the battle cry of the meow meow.
You know,
or the Jezebels.
And you're right. And these are the very same people who are taking Romans 13 out of context, who are saying, well, you know, if my home is being invaded by Muslims and my wife is going to get raped, or I'd have to really pray about what I would do if I would fight back. Come on, man. Are you serious? I mean, I don't want you even in my home.
Any man who says that, he forfeits his position as husband, he forfeits his position as man, and he most likely forfeits his life. I've told women who are married to those type of men, you know, and I don't give, you know this, I don't counsel, I don't give marriage advice, but I said, you better seek God on this one, because if you've got a husband that says that, it's time to basically remember this, that this is the time when people are going to be brought to the ultimate decision point of Jesus. It has to take precedence even over the wife or the husband. I've heard wives say, but what will I do? I don't know. That's why I'm telling you to do. I'm saying seek the Lord. But nowhere in the Word of God does the Lord say that you're just to sit there and die. If that were the case, there'd be no Christian church, because everybody would have sat there and died in the Colosseum or some other horrible way of death. See, where is this? You know, and I like my word, jellyfishianity. Any of you divers know, and I used to dive all the time, you know, it was my passion until I blew my ears out a couple times, and that's why I can't always control my voice, and I'm sorry, but tonight I am fired up. Look, I'm trying to get people to understand that God does answer his people's prayers. I am trying to tell you that multitudes in the valley of decision for the day of the Lord is at hand. I don't think, Doug, and now, you know, chime in, I mean, I don't think God could make it any plainer as to the evil, the corruption. You see, the mainstream media, 93%. I got to tell you something. I saw that number, and I said, God, those are your odds. Step in.
You go.
So let's say there's a 7% remnant. I don't know if it's 3%, 7%. That's what remains after all this. But ladies and gentlemen, get set for the biggest betrayals you've ever had. I know of which I speak. Get set for people in your family to turn against you. If you want public opinion, you know, then I'm telling you this, you fear men and not God. Because by the fear of the Lord, men depart from evil. There is no fear of God in this land. And the spineless jellyfishianity serving globs of, religious quotations and sanctimonious frauds, they will, I won't use that word, thank you, Lord, they will complain to you, Doug, they'll complain to me, they'll complain all over the internet,
That's right.
We're fake Christians, we're this, we're fear mongers, fear porn, whatever they say, but yet they won't stand up for Jesus. Isn't that interesting? They got all this time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Steve, and thank you for saying that, because, people tend to think that, oh, well, just Steve is complaining, Doug's complaining, they should just shut up, they should ignore these people. No, we are pointing out the very reason why we are in the position we're in today. The same thing, folks, the Christians are bitching about today. You are in part responsible for bringing us here by your inaction or your deluded doctrinal deciphering. That's my view. Steve, hold on. We're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to be right back. Just stay right where you're at. Folks, you're listening to the Hagman and Hagman Report. Steve Quayle is our guest, stevequayle.com. Take advantage of his book offer, as well as True Legends, the series, stevequayle.com. Hang with us.
Everybody needs a GMAG power cell. So Magnesium air fuel cell is very high energy density, and it makes power from salt water, regular old ordinary table salt. Add a little bit of water, it makes electricity like this one is. No wires, no cords, no cables. You don't need sun, you don't need wind. All you need is a little bit of salt and a little bit of water, and it makes power anytime, anywhere, in any weather, day or night. It lasts on the shelf indefinitely. When you need it, take it off the shelf, add water, it makes power. It doesn't matter whether it's been there 5 months to make power when you need power. You don't need sun, you don't need wind. All you need is a little salt and a little bit of water. It makes power anytime, anywhere, in any weather, day or night.
Check out greeninnovative.com. That's greeninnovative at greeninnovative.com. GREENIVATIVE. That's greeninnovative.com.
All you need is a little bit of salt and a little bit of water, and it makes power anytime, anywhere, in any weather, day or night.
Color. It's one of the most powerful tools used to entice and engage people. Color affects your mood, evokes emotions, and communicates in ways words can't. In fact, people are 80% more likely to remember what they read when it's in color. Isn't that reason enough to have us print all your promotional materials in full color? And when it comes to full color printing, you need a reliable go-to partner, an expert, someone who understands your business, helps you connect with customers, and can offer up a huge selection of products. Someone, well, like us. Our expert knowledge in color and printing is exactly what you need to build brand awareness, look professional, and stand out from the competition. Give us a call today. We're more than happy to provide you with additional information on your next full-color print marketing project. As your dedicated full-color sales team, we look forward to hearing from you.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
Reporting on what the mainstream media won't, you're listening to the Hagman and Hagman Report on the Global Star Radio Network.
Welcome back, folks, to the Hagman and Hagman Report. Our very special guest, Steve Quayle from stevequayle.com. On fire, unplugged tonight. You should hear him at 4 o'clock in the morning his time when he's talking to me, okay? I'm going to tell you something. This man has more energy than I'll ever have. But Steve Quayle, stevequayle.com. God bless you, my friend. Take advantage of his book special as well as True Legends, the series. Steve, I didn't mean to... I just want to make sure that people know that you every day that you and I speak, man, you're nonstop. I mean, thank you for being nonstop. Thank you for being in the fight.
Well, Doug, here's the thing. I take the word of the Lord seriously. You're too kind to me. I feel like if it were not for the prayers of the intercessors praying for me, God bless you, Susan, God bless you, Romy, God bless every single one of you, Beata, those of you who pray for me. There are times when I'm up and Romy's up and I'm saying, look, I got this, and I bless her in Jesus' name. I always find it fascinating that the intercessors get the least amount of respect. They're held in contempt. They have to fight everything around them, and I got to tell you something. The ones that have locked themselves away with Jesus and absolutely have stepped out of the public eye and have, I love it. There was a book called Out Back with Jesus. I'm telling you what, those are the ones that got God's ear. So I thank them all, former Bruce York's fellowship. And I don't know all the people that pray for me. I can't possibly thank you all, but let me share this. Every time you send me an email, it gives me a little bigger juice of energy. I've been so tired at times, Doug, and I'm not crying my beer. I don't drink beer. The bottom line is that I've literally passed out on my feet, okay? Now, when you do that and you're trying to walk around in the daytime, you go down hard on your knees on pavement, it's not a good thing, okay? I've been so sleep depraved that one time I was riding around with Gary Haven on one of his ATVs, and I just nodded off. If he hadn't grabbed me, I would have fallen off the ATV. That's how tired I get. But look, here's the thing. I am not complaining. I'm just saying this. Thank you. Thank each and every one of you who's ever prayed for me. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. People say, how come you're not dead? If you were telling the truth, you'd be dead. I said, that's absolutely true, except for one thing. God. They say, well, what do you mean, God? And I say this to non-believers. Obviously, I guess I hang around too many skeptics, you know. And then they're the ones that say, I can't wait until you're dead. I said, well, then you better show the same enthusiasm for it when you die, because I know where I'm going. Do you? Look, we're running out of time. You know, very soon, the mystery of time will be no more. And all of us, all we're left with, any of us, is what have we done? And what have we done for anyone else? Probably nothing. Most people, and I'd say this, when you hear those people out there criticizing and slamming Doug and I, and ask them just a simple question, what have you ever done? Or how many people have you won to Jesus? Or how many times have you stood up for Jesus when it was uncomfortable or politically incorrect? And then they'll quote to you, it's not of works lest any man should boast. Oh, but it is. It is. Works come as a result of faith, and not to initiate favor with God. But there's called the fruit of faith. And I got to tell you something. Man, we're dealing with sour grapes. We're dealing with rotten pineapples. We're dealing with people, I think, that live in pumpkin land, and yet they always have an opinion, and they always basically will do anything to denigrate except speak up for Jesus. See, speak up for Jesus, and you can say whatever you want, but don't say that you're speaking up for Jesus when you won't even spine up, man up, and ball up. I have a new statement, too, okay? What I love about Texans, God bless those of you in the state of Texas, I actually coined this term for Gary Haven. If this is offensive to you, then get off it, okay? Get over it. But I said those are titanium testicles, Texas size, and I'm gonna start calling Gary T3. When he goes down to Haiti, you know, and I'm sure someone's offended. Oh, goodness, you know.
By the way, Steve, by the way, we are going to publish Steve Quayle's Lexicon of Quaylisms very shortly. It's going to be a bestseller. I got to tell you. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, just make sure you have that newest one, because Gary, addresses the camera. Alex sent his film crew down there. Joe Biggs and the film crew guys are moving bodies. They're like moving food. They're moving people, you know. And Gary's flying in. Look, Gary is one heck of a pilot. I'll use that word. And, you know, but even that, it gets tough to land an airplane in basically goat trails, you know. And, I mean, his skills were given to him, I believe, by the Lord for such a time as this. Some people said, and some of them have been so racially slurring Gary. What do you care about a bunch of fill in the blank, you know? They're no good to society, yet I see him holding a little baby. I see him rushing that baby to a hospital. I see the people coming out being fed. Jesus said this, you hypocritical bunch of slime out there that knock everything that anybody does for Jesus. He said, inasmuch as you did it unto the least of one of these, you did it unto me, okay? So I got news for you. When I see that, and when I hear the testimonies, and pretty soon I'll put up a link, Diane, his wife, is going to send me the photos, and I'll bring Gary on, Lord willing. You know, I mean, the guy has been going nonstop 21 days, back and forth to Florida, picking up, you know, tons and tons of food, and handing it out, and yet taking time to hand out the toys to the little girls and boys. They have nothing. They've been robbed of everything. And here's a guy who God has blessed. You know, he's a billionaire, but he's out there doing it. And people send me emails all the time. Where can I give money? Give money to where it really works. I'm telling you this isn't BS. This is not Bravo Sierra. This is not bovine laundry. You'll have to think about that one. The point being is that we're seeing now, you know, faith in action. And God is going to do something. God's going to raise up and rise up. And those of you who think you've been on the back burner, I got to say this now, Doug. Those of you who God's made promises to for 40 years ago, maybe even 50 years ago, your day will come very soon, because God is not. God doesn't forget, okay? You know, the good thing about God is he doesn't have Alzheimer's, you know? Number one, he created everything, and number two, he doesn't eat GMO food. Manna, I got news for you, doesn't have glyphosate in it. So the thing that I'm saying to everyone is this is your time, and I'll tell you the same thing. Gideon was taken down to 300 men, and God wouldn't allow more men to come to Gideon's aid when they were at war, because he wanted people to see you can't do it. It was me. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying tonight, what Doug's saying tonight, we're telling you all, we can't do it, but God can do it through us. There is no place in the entire Old Testament that I know, or in the history of the world, where God's victory was not necessary for his people.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you this.
No, go
ahead, Doug.
Well, no, just so we don't run out of time here, Steve. I just want to mention this. Huffington Post is out with a headline that Donald Trump stands a real chance of being the biggest loser in modern elections. This by Natalie Jackson. We're getting brainwashed here by the media. You nailed it before with your assessment of the media. I mean, they're all in the tank. WikiLeaks has shown that they're all in the tank for Hillary Clinton. I guess my question to you is, as Christians, aside from standing up, and we need to stand in the gap. We need to have skin in the game. Do you feel, Steve? And I'm getting just a slew of emails wanting me to ask you this question. How do you feel, Steve? How do you feel the elections are going to turn out? Do you think that Trump will win the popular but lose the electoral, or what combination of facts do you? I don't want to say predict, but do you foresee taking place in the elections?
Well, right now we're being told by George Soros, who put 28 companies in 28 states voting machines. And remember this, Doug, it's not who casts the vote that counts. It's who counts the vote that counts. If I were the Trump Commission or the Trump team or someone who's got Donald Trump's ears, I would immediately go into each of those federal court and block the positioning of those based on RICO and based on vote tampering, which is a felony. I would immediately do that.
Amen.
I would immediately do that. I'm pounding my desk so hard it looks like my fingers going through the, 2-inch slab. But the point is, Doug, is that how I feel it's up to the people of God right now. I believe the people of God are the ones who are casting the final vote in heaven as to God saying, I'm going to give them a reprieve. Now, let me share this with you. Nothing I have said will change my mind on the fact that God is going to allow China and Russia to nuke us. I don't know when, but I will tell you this, that when Margaret Thatcher was, the Prime Minister of England, and when she got along with Gorbachev and Reagan got along with Gorbachev and the Berlin Wall came down, the tension between Russia and the United States pretty much evaporated. You've got to ask yourself the question, ladies and gentlemen, do you want World War III? Do you understand? Go to Zechariah 14:12 if you think World War III is just basically a walk in the park. Doug, I believe this. I believe if I could draw a cartoon, if somebody wants to do it, I'll put it up on my website. I believe you'll see like a pedestal, like soundstage or TV studio, and the newscasters will be absolutely disheveled. All of, let's say, New York City skyline is destroyed, and they'll show the cords that go into the cameras and everything just dangling in midair amidst a total ruinous rubble. And they'll be talking amongst themselves, and one will say dumbassedly to the other dumbassedly vomit broker, "Gee, what do you think this will do to our ratings?" It's insanity, my brother. You get it?
There are no words. I mean, yeah. Go on. No.
Okay. Well, look, here's what I say. I'm not trying to be evasive. I am only trying to answer it specifically. At this point, I believe if Donald Trump, is backed up in prayer. Now, you understand there are people canceling out what I'm saying. But what was the name of that woman that wrote that article in the Huffington Post?
Natalie Jackson. She's the senior, whatever this means, senior poll editor. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Can I tell you something? That's basically the single BS thrower, and the Lord God of heaven
bring every single one of those lying tongues. You know what God thinks of lying tongues? I pray that God, before this is done, I don't know how he's going to do it, but I pray and release in Jesus' name that every one of these lying devils is going to be exposed in mainstream media. I claim in Jesus' name that people like that woman and others are going to absolutely choke on the vomit they expect us to swallow.
Exactly.
Let their own vomit return to their throats, and may they absolutely choke on it, because the American people are fed up. And I'm hoping, now I want to tell everybody something. I don't believe in any way, shape, or form there is a physical solution to a spiritual problem. However, I believe in the God of heaven who still answers the prayer and intercession of his people. I believe that prayer does change things and change hearts. But I will tell you this, that, again, I'm saying this is where I'm coming from. You make your own decision before the Lord. But again, the Lord spoke to me this morning. And look, I hate to say God said, but people say, oh, he thinks he's special. No. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the biggest sinner in the world. I am absolutely a ragamuffin covered with the blood of Jesus. I don't even deserve that wonderful gift of salvation. I am the least likely, it's not self-deprecation, but it's true. I know what I was. I know who Jesus is, and I thank God I'm not what I was. I have one critic say, you're a very small man. Yeah, because I stay small in my own eyes, you know. And it's interesting that to me, we are seeing now the lines being drawn in the sand. Ladies and gentlemen, most of you that are still saying, well, I can't really vote for Donald Trump in clear conscience. At the last trump of God, his name is unusual. You know, obviously the Clinton name is not unusual. It's known in every nefarious dark spot on the planet. And look, everybody's taking advantage of it. I remember, Doug, I made a statement. Rape, pillage, and plunder, the United States as you've known it has gone under.
That's right.
I basically used to say it differently. I used to say rape, pillage, and plunder, the United States is going under. I don't say that anymore. Rape, pillage, and plundered, the United States has gone under. Now, does God give us a breathing space? But I'm looking to Jesus, okay? I want to make this clear. I'm like a caged lion. I am not a fun person to be around in my immediate presence, okay? Because I get what I call absolutely incredulous at what I would call, the spawn of, or the dawn of the spawn of denialists, okay? I said, look, go watch The Time Machine by, H.G. Wells. Go watch and you'll learn about two people, the Eloi, which are raised for food, for the Morlocks. The Morlocks are basically monsters that raise people for food. I said, now, look at the globalists. They're the Morlocks. You're the Eloi. You're allowed to toil. And the middle class is wiped out. You know why Donald Trump is hitting a nerve? Because he's telling the truth. You may not like his macho sexual statements. He needs to repent of those. I'm not cutting the guy any slack, and I think he has apologized. But you remember this? You're dealing with someone who talks about a lot of stuff. Then you're dealing with someone who basically is guilty of multiple cases of rape, even more pronounced than Bill Cosby. Cosby, at least, is reported to have drugged his victims. This guy just throws them down and takes his pants off. Or as Paula Jones said, he's got a real issue with wanting his private parts embraced.
Kiss
Ladies and gentlemen, this is disgusting.
Absolutely.
This is disgusting. And Democrats, and I won't even say what Madonna said, is too foul.
Yep.
But you're seeing the abominable filth that God said, you want filth? Okay, I'll give you filth. And meanwhile, you got Dave Daubenmire, God bless you, brother, out there basically standing against the abortionists. You got people, and he's writing, and by the way, I loved what he wrote today.
Absolutely.
I even responded to it, but it was too blunt, so I can't read it on the air, in favor of what Dave said. And, here's the deal. We have to man up and stand up. And women need strong men to lead them. Unfortunately, Doug, that's not the case. And I want to say something to all the pukes in the pulpit, okay? I was in the shower, and I just got an image, okay? People go into non-believing, Jesus-rejecting, Bible-mocking buildings, and they're like a dumb sheep walking into a wolf pack, okay? And I live in Montana. I go down into the park so many times by the grace of God. I'm down there in cars or in helicopters. And any of you ever watch a wolf pack hunt, you can see it. Go look at it on YouTube. You'll see it. But it isn't a nice thing. Yet people submit themselves. And I want to say this. Quit whining. Believe God. Find a church. How do I find a church? It's simple. Go on YouTube or go on whatever your browser is, Start Page or whatever, and type in Deliverance Believing Church or Bible Believing Church or End Times Prophecy. And then call the pastor and ask him just as simple things. Do you believe Jesus? Ask him this. Do you cast out demons by the finger of God? I'll tell you this. Where a church practices deliverance, there's going to be freedom. Now, there's the wacky ones too. But pray and ask the Lord. He's the good shepherd. He's the one that said, my sheep hear my voice, and another voice will they not obey. You know?
That's right.
I'm tired of it. I'm tired. Looking, I don't know if I got 1 day left, 1 week left, or 1 month left. Okay? I don't know that. I know this. I don't know what life holds for me, but I know that God holds my life, okay? And he does every single person out there that will pray. And I'm telling you, seek the Lord while he may be found, you know? Can you imagine, brethren, when there is no internet, when there is no phone, when you're being hunted, when you're being sought after, when people that used to be middle class who are no longer, they can't even feed themselves? And I want to say this, please, if you think I'm kidding, go read the book, okay? Savage Continent. It will break your heart what the women in Europe had to do just to feed themselves, just to get a C ration, a K ration, or a candy bar, you know?
That's right.
I mean, it was this. It was prostitution by necessity. And then you've got basically, you know, famous actresses now. What people don't understand is that sex is a very powerful force, okay? It is an actual creative force that God gave to Adam and Eve to procreate. But the devil knows the power, and therefore he perverts the power in order to hold people in bondage.
That's right.
And that is absolutely what people aren't getting. Look, I won't even talk about that realm because God saved me out of that realm, okay? And trust me, I had a period of backsliding. I know what it's like to go swim with the pigs, you know, and the thing, if you're going to swim with the pigs, the last thing you want to do is put your face in pig slop, okay? So, and there's no hidden meaning to that. It means that God redeemed, because it goes back to this parable. If you guys are the prodigal son, and the prodigal daughter, come back to Jesus. Doug, I have seen a miraculous thing. I'm getting emails from people all over the world. They're getting set free of heroin. I'm getting emails from prostitutes. And I say to them, God bless you for turning away from that sin and embracing Jesus. And in case anybody gets snooty about me saying that, hello, Rahab? Hello, Mary Magdalene? Hello? You see, that's what I love. The vilest offender, that's me, he can truly set free. So quit drowning. Quit sucking snot, religious cliches. Get on your face with Jesus and cry out for the sin that is destroying these little babies. God, I hate it. And I broke down today at my computer. I said, God, I can't stop this stuff. I'm wasting people's time. Lord, I feel so, and I do. I feel like, God, I have failed you. 25 years on talk radio, and what difference have I made? Now, I know there are people that have been won to the Lord. I'm not criticizing any of God's workmanship or salvation. But, Doug, we have let this thing happen. Could I have stopped it individually? Who knows? Maybe if I was, more like Attila the Hun or something, yeah, in a good sense, but no. But here's the thing. But we collectively, as God's people, interceding, joining our voices in our hearts, saying, God, stop it. You've got to stop it. You see, I think we get our eyes on ourselves, and I was there today. I can't stop it, okay? I can't stop it. Jesus didn't call me to bear the sin of the world. God put it on him. But I can say, Lord, thank you for bearing the sin of the world. And now, Lord, I ask that you arise and your enemies be scattered. How much time do we have?
Steve, we've got about 6 minutes left, but I want to interject something here because you struck on something. You've been doing this for almost 3 decades. You've been in the trenches, and the question and I heard you ask this question, or at least, this morning when we spoke, and I can't even, folks, I cannot convey to you the passion behind Steve Quayle. This is not talking about Steve Quayle for the sake of just talking about it, but the feelings that we, and not just Steve, but others collectively have, individually have, about the task that we're doing. Are we making a difference? Is anyone listening? Is this thing on? And sometimes you just feel like it's all for naught, especially, Steve, when you've got Christians who you and I have had fellowship with, just delude people. They're delusional, but they're deceitful in saying, look, I can't consciously vote for Trump or even advocate doing that. So where does that leave us? The path to destruction, Steve. We can't even agree. I mean, our brethren, we're losing our brethren. Help me out here, man. I don't understand this.
Well, Doug, can I tell you something? I'll give you Joy Dawson was a wonderful lady teacher. She said, you cannot figure out sin because it's insane, okay? And my wife says you can't argue with crazy, okay?
True.
And fortunately, she doesn't have to deal with my emails. But the point is that, and I had to answer one guy, answer not a fool lest you become one, And I get it. I get that the scriptures will be fulfilled. And I'm going to say this. I in no way ever believe that there is anything man will do to prevent the word of God coming to pass. But I know history. There are times in Israel's history, there are times in believers' histories where there are timeouts. Even a football game is only supposed to run, an hour? But sometimes they go into overtime. God is the creator of time. He is the judge of the whole earth. He knows what he's doing. He's faithful, just, holy, and true. That means there is no bending in him. There is no, you don't have to worry about, he changed his mind today because it's me versus Joe. Quit comparing yourself to anyone and look to Jesus. I like what Dr. Paul Hagstrom said. He said, Lord, what is the perfect man? And God said, Jesus. That's why I want you to conform to his image. There's your answer,
There it is,
How does God do what he does? I don't know. And I don't care. It's God. As long as we call upon the name of the Lord, we will be saved. And I want to share this, Doug. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to stand with Doug and Joe Hagmann. They took a big step, and look, you got to give your money someplace. If those of you believe in tithe, and you say tithing is the Old Testament. No, it's not. The book of Hebrews says that Jesus lives to ever receive tithes. And I'm not saying it's an Old Testament, but it's a principle. Give and it shall be given unto you. Gary Haven's going to reap a tremendous blessing. He's not looking for the blessing, but he's sowing. He who gives to the poor lends to the Lord, and the Lord will repay. So I'm telling you this: if some of you want to basically really go into the trenches and literally feed starving mouths, so that you'll never hear that said. I'm afraid. You know what the thing scares me the most, Doug? I'm afraid at how few people who now are busting our chops. It came up a little bit on the anatomy, are going to basically, what they're going to say and what they're going to find when they say they stand before Jesus with their arrogance, with their religious spirit, and he says, depart from me, I never knew you, ye who work lawlessness. A vote for lawlessness is a partaker of the judgment that comes against it. Blessings to everyone tonight. I pray for you. I thank you from the depths of my heart for your prayers for me. And that's why, to my cynic's chagrin and all those in professionally high places who hate me, that's why I'm alive. It's because of the goodness of God and the faithfulness of the intercessors. I bless you, Doug. I bless you, Joe. I thank you for your radio program. And ladies and gentlemen, my prayers always are you'll be at the right place at the right time, never the wrong place at the wrong time, and God will show himself to be the all-sufficient one for everyone who will take this word by faith over this broadcast tonight. Good night, Doug.
Good night, Steve. Thank you so very much for being on our program. God bless you. You know what, folks? You just heard a very impassioned, very passionate Steve Quayle. And I'm going to turn this over to Joe here in 40 seconds. I just want to tell you, we have, both of us have been up since, 4 o'clock, our respective times, talking. And we've talked more today, I think, than we've talked in all year. And the reason I bring this up is because we both know, and I think that you know now, folks, this is crunch time, and it's up to us. Our actions are up to us. I mean, the results are up to God, but what we do next is up to us. Pray about it. Follow God, but understand how serious this is. That's all I've got to say, Joe.
Well, it was a fantastic show, and a lot was said tonight. And I don't know that I have much more to add. You know, what a lot of what Steve said was true. We are in a very tumultuous time. It's only going to get worse in the few days that we have left before the election, and then after that, who knows where we go from here. But we just got to keep plugging away. We got to keep praying. We have to keep reading our Bibles, and we have to keep ourselves on the straight and narrow path.
We do.
Otherwise,
and
what are we doing?
What I just want to quickly say this. I said I wasn't going to say anything, but Gary Haven, what Gary Haven is doing, what I know Gary Haven is doing, I mean, helping the people of Haiti. Joe, the State Department, or the United States through USAID, built 2 soccer stadiums and a police station in Haiti after the earthquake at an exorbitant cost. Gary Haven's using his own money, built more homes, supplied more food than I believe than USAID has to the people of Haiti. That's just one example. But
there was a guy who uncovered the fraud at AIG and GE, I think.
AIG, right.
I'm not sure about the two, but he looked into the Clinton Foundation. He said over $100 billion is missing from the few relief funds, the Haiti Earthquake Relief Fund, the Baton Rouge Flood Foundation funding that they were given. So everybody who donated money, $5, $10 through text messages, was funneled through the Clinton Foundation and stolen, and nothing was built.
That's okay, though. That's okay. Go ahead, cast your vote for Hillary, Diane Rodham, the witch, the yak, Clinton. Folks, thank you so much for being part of our lives, and thanks for allowing us into your living rooms, cars, boats, whatever. God bless.
Have a great night.
Good night.